Welcome to another episode of Trackside with PR. Tonight we've got Evan from Unigroup
Engineering.
Unigroup Engineering.
Thank you.
And Josh from Shitster of Facebook.
Yeah, you could put me
Pretty
as
much,
that.
yeah. Everyone
And I do
knows
it
Josh.
very well.
You do it very, very
You've
well.
either been trolled or
No, I'm the troller.
It's officially
I'd
the
say.
Smoko, though.
everyone's been
Yeah.
trolled by Josh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Especially if you got an RB.
Yeah. Or a Barra.
Yeah, Barras. Only that Stephen Zammit guy, but that's all.
Yeah.
No, welcome. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have a good chat tonight. We've already started off with some brief discussion.
Very brief discussion.
On how Evan's Fiji Time and how Josh is a smoker.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I must say it's a bit of a surprise. I didn't know this Fiji Time thing, so obviously it goes on behind my back. But that's all good. At least, hey, there's a time and a place for everything. Mine just happened to be today and now. So
Yeah,
okay.
that's it.
Blame
So-
Av and
so
Navi
it's-
from
So
B2R
it's
for that one.
basically Fiji Time. All right. It's.
No, yeah, we had to plan this a month ago to get him here on time.
I was here 2 minutes to 6.
He
It's,
was.
you know,
He was on time.
Eastern
Yeah.
time or Fijian
First one,
Standard
actually.
Time?
Yeah, we have to give him Fiji Time.
Now, Evan, just before we started, you asked me to refer to you as Evan. Obviously, that's your name.
Yes.
But I think the community knows you more as your Vuz. I
Yes,
mean, that's how
correct.
I had always known you.
Okay.
Why do you think that is? I guess.
Well, okay, the answer's simple.
Yeah.
Until about 2014, my official name on the papers were Yavuz, which is a Turkish name. So
Okay.
I'm a migrant from Turkey. I
Yeah.
came here at the age of 14, about 10 years ago, 2014, just to blend in with the Australian culture and to help with business and other introductions and so on. Because the first thing when I mentioned my name, people would ask, oh, where's that from? So then that would take the conversation in that direction the whole time.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get tired of that after years. So then I just wanted a plain name that people would just take it, and then that way we would move on with business and whatever needed to be discussed.
Yeah, wow.
So then I kept that name as my middle name. So on paper it's Evan Yavuz and then the last name.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I didn't know that.
So
You-
when was that?
It was about 2014.
Yeah, okay.
So I've known Josh since, when did we meet, Josh? How long ago?
It's about 2005.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
we opened about 2002. So coming to 21 years in August now. It'll be 21 years for us. You were one of the earlier ones, I think, and you stuck with us all that time. So
Yep,
thank you.
I'm stuck.
So you're married then?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
So what were you doing back then, 2005?
So back then I'd been to a couple of big shops, without saying any names, but yeah, I went to a couple of shops. I had a Nissan Bluebird Atessa SR20 turbo all-wheel drive. I'd been to a couple of shops and just wasn't really that happy, and I had a friend who was into Skylines, and he was all over the Skylines Australia forums and stuff, and he told me, look man, you got to go see this guy, he's really good with Nissans, you should give him a go. And you know, obviously the first thing you do is you got to go to a big name shop, because if you don't go to a big name shop, obviously they don't do good work.
Yeah.
And so I rolled in there with my car and had a couple of problems with it, and he was able to diagnose the problem straight away. And then we end up putting a NIS-Tune computer into it and retuning the car, and I was more than happy. And from then I was just a customer.
Yep.
And then obviously we've, become really good friends over that time. And I've had several different other cars, and then I got my Supra probably in, I think it was 2008 now. I got my Supra. And then the ball just started rolling from there, slowly just
Has it
increased
been that
things.
long? 2008?
Yeah,
okay.
December
Geez, that-
2008,
okay.
I got my
Ages
Supra.
ago.
So 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Jeez, okay, time flies.
Wow.
It's-
That
Yeah.
Supra,
Okay.
isn't that the missus car?
No, different Supra.
No. Mark III. So mine's a Mark III and my wife's is a Mark IV.
Right, okay.
And so, yeah, I got that. And that was a completely standard car. 7M GTE, factory R154. And then slowly started to do a little bit to it here and there. And then it just snowballed, single turbo, change this. And, here we are
and
today.
when did it become 2J, Z?
I got married in 2009, and while I was having time off after the honeymoon, I decided I might go get a half cut. So went out to Ichiban
Yeah.
at out at Moorebank and got a half cut, and then started to put it together with a couple of good friends of mine, and got it all together. I left the twin turbos on it for a while. I think we started off originally at like, I don't know, 250 kilowatts or something.
Yep, through a manual.
That was through a manual, and then we just had fun with that, and then wanted to go fast, so put an auto in it, and just snowballed from there.
Yeah. And so, Evan, what were you sort of specialising in in that period?
We did a lot of Jap Imports, injected turbocharged 4s and 6 cylinders. And I must say around that time was probably the golden years of these imports, because we had plentiful supply of low-cost cars to the market. I'm just comparing it to what we have today. Like there were rear-wheel drive performance cars, and then there was lots available in terms of performance upgrades.
Yeah.
And there were fairly stout, well-built cars that even after we had them as imports where they've done some time in Japan, it wasn't like they came here all spent and there's no life left in them. I was actually amazed at how well, say, Toyotas, Nissans, Mazdas of the time held up, despite being, I guess,
Punished.
modified and then thrashed and punished by youngsters back in the day.
Like Josh.
And we were one of them, like Josh. and back then it was...
You're making me feel old, Joe.
I didn't say it.
Okay.
There was just a lot of options then, because I'm looking at now, like, what do we have? We've somewhat lost that, and which is kind of sad when you look back, and because there was a lot more going on. At least there were a lot more options back then, and it's purely due to the Jap imports, because again, in the local market, we didn't really have anything comparable. It was all the Jap imports.
I feel like it was a very different time. It was a lot more affordable. I mean, I'm
Yes.
just talking out of, like, definitely not experience, because I wasn't modifying cars then. But yeah, more
Were you in
affordable.
kindergarten then, Joe?
Nah.
Was he
Primary school.
alive?
I was high school.
Primary school?
High school.
Okay. Oh, high school.
High school. So how old are you, Joe?
30.
30. Oh, wow. Okay. 30. What about you, Aaron?
35.
Is Josh we're
How old are
like
you,
the
38?
elderly here.
38?
40.
40. Brand new.
Brand new. Okay.
Second in.
47. So I'm probably the...
You're the old hen.
well,
But yeah, would you agree? It's different. It was different times. Road rules were more relaxed. I think everything maybe was more relaxed. So
I didn't feel the road rules were more relaxed, but we certainly had more low-cost cars available to the younger people coming into it
yeah,
because of the Jap imports. Because they were again, we would say 2002, a 200 SX was, I think, around 45,000.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a lot of money for
Yeah.
them. So I guess today's money, if we had to call it something, what is it, 80,000, 90,000? What would you? That was a lot of money, but there were a lot of cars available, say 10, 15,000 as imports that you could buy. And they were still very good cars, because most of the cars out of Japan, they weren't high kilometres. And again, back to the build quality of cars that, compared to, say, local cars, I'm just comparing, say, a Ford or a Holden,
Yep.
that's, say, 10 or 15 years old, how they hold up versus, say, a Nissan. I mean, I still get customers now, say, 180 SX or 200 SX, original turbo from 20 years ago. And not only doing original duty, he's got the boost controller on max, and this thing goes to 20 PSI flat out and then rolls back to 15 PSI, so whatever the gate pressure holds, and it's still going today.
yeah.
So that's kind of amazing, because and again, that platform gave a lot of people options then to build whatever they wanted, which was a cool time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. So back then, I think what I knew of you was you supported SDR tuning or something.
I still do.
Right. Okay.
So I go there as a subcontractor. I think I started with Steve from SDR. It would have been around maybe 2005, 2007. I don't know the years exactly, but give or take around then. So it's been a long time partnership with him. So still today, I'll go there almost every Friday,
Right.
and we tune and do cars together. Yeah.
yeah. And that's rotary. That's all rotary.
Yeah,
right?
Steve specialises in rotaries. Yeah. Predominantly rotary.
So you obviously, did you know rotary before you met with Steve, or?
I knew rotary. Yep.
Yep.
So again, most of my experience is after Steve with the number of cars and experience you gain. But prior to him, I had some rotary experience, and he was looking for a tuner.
Yeah.
And he was actually, I think at the time, favouring someone who wasn't a rotary specialist, because he wanted to sort of break away and have his own ways. And again, we fitted the bill. He tried us out a few times, and we seemed to click together, because again, it's not just work and business. You got to like the person. You got
relationship,
to, so he was we got along, and we still do a lot of work together.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's I think what I sort of linked you guys together. Yeah, I also knew that you were into the GDRs and Sylvias and like all the
I
oldies
try
and
to
stuff.
do a bit of everything because I think variety is the key. Because if you're doing just one platform after you've done 10, 20 of it, it kind of gets boring. Even if you just get to cycle it a bit. And the other advantage that I find is that like if you work on, say, one type of car, experience gained from that, you can transfer it to another type of car. Because, like, again, if, say, someone brought you a car you've never seen before, it wouldn't take you long to get up to speed with it based on your experience with what you've already done. Yeah. So for that reason, whatever I could get my hands on, one, for variety, two, because as long as you're learning, the job's fun. That's why we're still here. We do it. I started with carburetors and distributors back in the day, and then EFI. And then sort of, whatever came in. So if it was boats, if it was aircraft, let's go. If it was motorcycles, let's.
And so did this start when you opened the workshop, or was this prior?
No, this, when you're referring to this.
You said 2002. Sorry, this as in your passion for the cars?
Passion for the cars had always been there. So born in 76, 2002, I'd have been 26 years old. So I was straight out of university. I think I held a job for 1 or 2 years as a mechanical engineer. And then I've always wanted to do cars and I wanted to pursue something in automotive.
And were you tuning prior to that?
Prior to that, only at an amateur level for neighbours, friends, etc. So we, again, started with distributors, jets and carburetors, and then into EFI, because back in the day, EFI was new. A lot of the people just wanted to stick their head in the sand and hope that it'd all go away, but it didn't. And you had to sort of run with it. And I found it fun because for me, it was anything new, anything sort of technological, cutting edge, that type of thing. I get excited. Like, I'll do it for free. So, give it to me as if it's something new and fresh.
That wasn't an invitation to ask him to tune your car for free.
No.
Josh is like, look what I found. It's new. Wheel speed sensors.
Okay, that's cool.
So you said mechanical engineering. That wasn't in the automotive. That was just mechanical engineering, right?
No, it was basically last 2 years. It was a lot of subjects on automotive. So turbocharging, camshaft design, they're the sort of two areas that I spent a lot of time on. Then that's when university felt fun because last 2 years they let us do what we wanted to do. And there's a thing called capstone project where you pick your own what you want to do. And in there we turbos. We got together with like-minded people at uni, so we're playing turbos, camshafts, fuel injection, high performance, that type of thing. So it was
that's
good times.
Cool.
And
I guess that sort of separates Evan from a few people then. Like when it comes into the tuning side of things, not many people have been to uni, studied, got a degree, and had a look at all these high-paying jobs, and then took automotive.
Well, look, again, in the high-paying jobs, yes, you could chase the money, but there weren't things that gave satisfaction. And again, I was able to save up and open the shop from one of those high-paying jobs, so I could save some money on the side. And then I bought a second-hand dyno, and then just hired a workshop and started predominantly just tuning to begin with, and then it expanded to other things. But it was again, I'm sure none of you got into it because you thought there's a lot of money in it.
No,
definitely
not.
And again, because a lot of people at the paying end, it costs a lot of money. Because again, what we do is at the bleeding edge of technology, so nothing's cheap. So when they hand over that kind of money, they think, oh, these guys must be earning heaps of money. Look at all these money. But again, the margins in what we do are very small. Because again, it's there's a lot of competition. I don't know how you guys find it, but it's definitely because there'd be more money in general servicing than in the high performance in terms of margins.
100%.
And one's a lot simpler and easier. But then again, how much job satisfaction and enjoyment and learning do you get out of just doing servicing?
Zero.
So I think it's okay, zero. Little for me. Sometimes you just want to do some servicing just to get your brain out of a problem or something. Because with electronics and things, you guys probably have it as well. Is that you get stuck with a problem and you just don't want to look at it for a while. So that's when it's good to go do a service. And in the back of your mind while you're servicing, you're thinking, Yeah, did I run that correct? Oh, I can maybe run cylinder number 4 a bit different and that might fix it. All these ideas going through your head while you could zone out and do a service and, you could process these things.
Is that what you were thinking the last time you did a service, Aaron? Can you remember the last service?
I can't remember.
Just remember
Last
the
time I
car you
booked a
serviced.
service?
Those hands look very clean, Aaron.
Very clean.
Very, very
The
clean.
last time I booked a service with our guys downstairs, I think about all my stuff.
No,
when I'm
it's
in
definitely
bed.
relatable. You'll have multiple cars having different issues, and one's just kicking your ass, and you're just like, I can't think about that right now. I need to think about something else, and then you have that light bulb moment. You're like, oh,
And so just question, so I'm sure people will be wondering as well, how often would you get that car that's kicking your ass?
Often.
Yeah,
Often. I'd say I've got one a week.
More often
That's-
than what
yes,
you want.
more, yeah, definitely. And like we're just stuck with it. And again, you're not really getting paid any extra for it. You just got to solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, that sometimes, if you get a few of those in a row without getting a break in between,
Yeah, that's
it can also
stressful.
make you question, why do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
It just gets to you sometimes. But
yeah.
so I'm glad you guys are the
No,
same,
definitely,
so
yeah.
you get it as well.
It's probably
100%.
one a week or a fortnight here.
But because of how often it is and how we're never beaten by it, I know full well we're going to get to the end of it. So there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
It's not like, shit, what are we actually going to do here? Because I don't know if we're going to find it out, like find out the issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 100% chance we're going to sort it out. It's just a matter of when.
Well, a matter of when. And again,
that's the
you don't
problem.
want to dragging on too long either because, you got then other jobs that are meant to be coming in. You're
Exactly.
still on this one that was meant to leave last Wednesday. And then you're doing, say, after hours, etc. And,
And then you got a customer that's like, oh, can you do it this week? And it's like, well, I don't actually know how long it's going to take. If I work out how long it's going to take, then I'd be able to tell you how soon I can do it. But that's...
because a lot of the things we do,
How
I don't
long's
think
a piece
people
of string?
understand. It's open-ended. For instance, on a service, there's, say, 7 or 8 items and there's a checklist for a service. You just go through that and that's your service done. Okay, and then during the service, you might discover 1 or 2 extras, other things wrong with it. You ring the customer. Things are very predictable.
Yeah.
But when someone brings you a project car and says, okay, I want to do this, or like Josh, I want to run 7s. It's not even a clear goal like that. He just say, I want to go as fast as possible. Okay. So then,
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't know it went down like that, but anyways.
Okay, I might let
That's
you tell
what he
the-
read from that.
That's what. Okay, so it'd be interesting to hear your side of the story.
Maybe
'cause,
what you said and what I
yeah,
listened to. is
and
two
then maybe
totally
some
different
some relation to Fiji in that story as well. So
He would have had a cocktail.
things. I don't know. There's been a fair few late nights lately trying to get the car ready, and
because
it's,
Josh has been exposed to it last round because I said to him, okay, if we're doing this, you're going to come and
You're involved.
you're involved. You're going to come and give us a hand because a lot of people drop a car off and
They don't get to see it.
they don't get to see the process, which sometimes they want to see it, they can't be there. Other times they don't care. They just want the end result. So it depends on the customer. So with Josh, I said, you're going to be there and you're going to give me a hand. So we started, and I don't know how many late nights we did. And a lot of the time we got work the next day. So we thought, okay, we go till 10. And then it ends up being
2 o'clock.
It's 11. We go, okay, we'll go another half hour. And then it's like, it's 35 minutes past. No, we only stop on the half hour or the hour. So we go to the next one. So then the next thing, it's like, it's 2 o'clock. And often, you might get a breakthrough and then you forget how the last 2 hours went. And we just, this works now. Quick, get this. And, Josh, hold that, and then,
Touch this.
And it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it doesn't stop, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's good to include Josh in that. But, I mean, from years of experience now building cars, you'd know that it's not all roses.
Yeah, well, look,
No.
I'm not a mechanic by trade, but I know a fair bit of what to do. So all my cars pretty much been put together by myself.
Yep.
So I got my engine machinist to do all the machining.
Yep.
Jenkins, Performance Engines. And then everything else is pretty much put together by me.
Yep.
Got, someone that wires the car for me. DC Electrical, and there's a few people involved with helping me build the car along the way, and we pretty much put it together in the garage. So it was like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do this? So there's no just pay the money and pick the motor up and put the motor in. It's actually on the tools, like this is a torque wrench. Okay, how do we use this one? All right. So one of my friends is good friend Chris is a mechanic, and not anymore, but he was, and he was like, mate, we can put this motor together. And I said, oh, have you done a 2J before? Nah, but I've done plenty of SR20s.
Yeah.
SR20s? Do they even make them for men? All right, no worries. Let's put this 2J together.
Yeah.
So we put the motor together and, it works.
Yeah.
We never had any problems.
No, you can't say you never had any problems.
Oh, maybe
you
a couple of
never see
little
things
ones.
like that in automotive. There's plenty of problems.
Okay, well, I didn't put the pistons in upside down, all right? So there was no problems there.
They only go one way anyway. Try putting them upside down.
But put it together and it worked. And I thrive off that stuff. I love doing it myself, especially to cost-wise. It costs a lot of money if you're getting something built. And
because of the time involved, right?
That's exactly right. You know, like you try and do shim clearances and put buckets and everything in a 24 valve head. It takes a long time. You know, and you have to make sure that everything is proper. Because if it's not, you know, you're going to hit pistons, you're going to hit all sorts of things. And it's just, I love it. I now with my car, I don't know about with doing other motors, but with a 2JZ, I'm quite capable of stripping one down and pulling them apart. And if I don't know something, I'll ask, you know, the right people and get the right advice. But there's nothing better satisfaction than actually doing it yourself.
And so with the car build, obviously you knew the last time around what you wanted to run with it.
Yep.
Did you get your Vils involved and sit down and go, right, this is what we need to make, or is this like a Josh thing bring you in last minute?
No, this was a Josh. This was a Josh thing.
Because this is realistically, this is a very low budget thing.
Yeah.
Because there was essentially no planning. It's whatever we can afford and buy at the time. Let's put it together, and whatever it runs or whatever the best we can get out of it, that is it. Because ultimately, when you don't have the funds, it's not like you got options where you can go A, B, or C, or let's consider this. It's more, how do we best spend it? What's the best way? And he's done that. And again, admittedly, he's done a reasonably good job. Most of it he put together himself. And again, that touches on a point that it is fun doing this sort of thing because, you know, he does this after hours. I know a lot of people, but I don't know anyone who works at a job and then goes and does plumbing as a hobby after hours. You know, some might, but most people don't.
It'd be much easier.
So well, maybe because, you know, there's not as many things you got to know, and you know,
a little bit less risk.
Not as much blown up pipes and things like that. I'm guessing where, you know, it's expensive in what we do, but
and high risk.
Yep. But it is more rewarding as well in that sense that because you're taking and carrying high risk, when it finally pays off, it's, you know,
it's worth it.
I guess it's wanting to know how it works or what it does or why it does it, which drives you to keep doing it or keep playing, tinkering, when a lot of people are super ignorant towards that, or they wouldn't know the first thing about how it works or why it works. So if you try and explain something to them, it just goes straight over the head.
Yeah, that's exactly
and they
right.
kind of understand how it took this long to do this job. You know, isn't it just this?
Yeah, that's right. It's there's so many hours that's involved in doing a car. I remember when I first put the sump on, and then I did the pickup, and then I looked down and I saw an O-ring, and I went, I think that O-ring goes at the bottom. No, and I just sealed all the sump up and everything, and I'm like, I can't leave it.
Yeah.
I have to open it back up. I have to open it back up, and I have to, you know, see. And so all of a sudden, all the sump back off, the pan, everything,
Silicons everywhere,
and the O-ring was in there.
Oh, of course it's in there.
So did you find out the mystery of the O-ring? What was that?
Why'd
What
you
was
have
that
two
from? Yeah.
extra
Yeah.
spare.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Yeah, but again, that's the joys of automotive because a lot of people don't understand what we do. When something goes wrong, it's like, oh, why did it fail? It's like it's the most complicated machine most people are going to own unless you own a helicopter or an aircraft of some sort. There is nothing more complicated at home than your car, is there? So there's a lot to go wrong. And the other thing is that, you know, people come, we'd say Datsun 1600s, Ford Mustangs, these things are 40, 50 years old. So what do you got at home that's 40, 50 years old and it still works?
True.
You know, when you look at it,
Some people's wives.
some people are.
Some, yeah.
40 or 50 is still working.
In the kitchen.
I can't even say anything.
Why?
Use against me in court.
Let's go back, Evan.
Yeah.
First car.
First car
What was your first car?
that I owned.
Yes.
Okay. It was a Ford Escort.
Yeah. And was that back home or here?
No, it was. I came here at the age of 14.
14.
Oh, yeah,
So-
okay, yeah.
Yeah, unless
So
he was thieving cars.
No,
Some people
no.
started early.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, I had driven a car once before there.
yeah,
Not on the roads, but here I started with motorcycles and dirt bikes, 2-stroke, and then first car was a Ford Escort once I had the license. So it taught me a lot because Twin Webbers distributor. So I bought all these books from England, got some of these reading about Webbers and how to do it, and then about selling the heads and how to modify, how to set shims. That was it for me. And then on the weekends or later, you'd go drag racing. So you'd find a quiet piece of road.
Street racing, they call it.
Oh, okay, sorry, I call it drag racing. Back in the day, it was then you'd go street racing because it'd be you just want to see how it goes and
Up against other guys. with
up
the-
against other guys with similar. So you'd find a quiet piece of road in an industrial area or a place where just away from.
yeah.
Because again,
Did you ever run into the likes of PJ or?
no, because
Dom.
again, they're probably a lot younger than me. I don't know how old PJ is, but I'm 47. So
You've been
it's-
around.
yeah.
No? They were talking stories around the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 5 years in it.
I know the areas
Yeah.
quite well.
So the Escort you bought that stock and
No, it already had some
Yeah,
mods,
okay.
but it needed some love.
yeah,
So I got it reasonably cheap back in. I think I remember paying $4,500 for it, which for what it had, it was cheap. But it was cheap for a reason because it needed a lot of work. So I was prepared for that. Because I'll do everything from scratch my way, and I prefer to buy that than something that's exactly done, because then nothing is exactly done how you like it. We all have a different take on it.
yeah.
So then the Escort engine was okay, but everything else was needed work. But I just enjoyed the performance side of it on that car with jetting, carburetors, timing, etc. So
Yeah. Did you tinker into suspension and tyres and things like that, or?
not really, only because those things to change and trial, they were big money items. Like if you want to try a set of shocks, you remember we're 18 years old working at Pizza Hut for, bit of an income, delivering pizzas while going to university. So it's like, it's not a lot of money. So
Yeah.
it's mostly small things.
Whatever you can change yourself.
Whatever you can check. Because again, if you wanted to try a set of jets or something, it's cheap enough.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to play with ignition timing on the car, well, you got a timing light and distributor and
It's free
play
until
with
you
it.
go too far the other way.
Yeah, luckily for me, at least not on the Escort.
Yeah.
It never
Yeah.
went that way. But that's how it started.
Yeah,
so it
cool.
was,
So that leads us to what was your first job? Was it Pizza Hut delivery driver?
Pizza Hut delivery driver.
Yep. And that's while you're doing uni, studying.
Yeah, while I'm studying there, I'm delivering pizzas at night time on weekends, etc. Make some pocket money.
Yep. And where'd
Yeah.
you grow up?
Kings Langley.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Pizza Hut, Kings Langley.
No, they didn't have one in Kings Langley. It was the one in Seven Hills. It's still there.
So you're local, and stayed local.
Some stayed local. Yeah.
Yeah. And uni.
Yeah.
Which
Uni
one?
was UTS.
Yep.
Broadway. Yep.
So uni would have been, what was it, 6-8 years?
Yeah, for me it was 6 years. I wasn't a good student. I
Yeah.
failed a lot of subjects because initially there's very heavy maths. There's a lot of theory and it doesn't make sense. And
Yep.
again, when you're 18, at that age, you've just come out of high school where you've had a hard time. You just want a bit of freedom, and then you
Yeah.
put into this.
Yeah.
It's actually tough times, trying to focus and still keep your steam.
Yep.
And I think it was minimum 5 or 5.5 years, but I took 6 or a bit longer because I failed subjects and I had to repeat on one of the maths ones because I failed it twice. They basically pulled me in and said, hey, look, you've been excluded for failing it twice. You got to give us a good reason why
Should let you do it.
we should let you do it a third time, because university is not for everybody. If you don't want to be here, you don't want to do it, then there's other ways. So that was a bit of a wake-up call, but I guess to my surprise, next semester they changed the content of the course. They made it somewhat easier because they realised that, oh geez, they got a very high
too
failure
hard.
rate.
Yeah, right.
It was extremely hard, and some of the maths and some of the things, in a way, it's good. It's sort of brain gymnastics, But in a lot of ways it just feels like straight out punishment. You're not enjoying it. Because I wasn't a student that was happily going there. I was going there because I had to go. I just want to get through it and I just want to finish it. No, I wasn't doing it because I was enjoying, until later years where you got into the electives and you could choose what you want, and then it was good fun.
Yeah.
Then we could.
It all
choose.
started to make sense as well.
At that point, I won't say it still made sense. It still felt like we don't need any of this in real life. I don't know why they're making us do it. We had this theory that they just want to weed out people that don't have the resilience and they can't be bothered going through with it. And in the end, I'd have to say in probably 2/3 of the people that I started with did not finish, and half of that would have been in the first 2 years. Just dropped out. It's just not what they thought. It's very difficult, very intense.
Wow. And did you always want to be an engineer?
Well, I'll say this. I'm always interested in the cars and automotive. I liked motorsport.
Yeah.
So I was getting good grades at school. I thought, okay, the closest thing to that it might enable me to get into that is mechanical engineering. So if I don't get into automotive, it's still mechanical because that made more sense to me. Chemistry, electricity, things like that didn't make so much sense because mechanical things, it's what you see, what you can touch. Yeah. Whereas electrical, you're always biased.
You can and you will feel it.
Well,
then you should have been a plumber.
Like plumber.
Because that's the same as electricity.
Well, okay, that's right. Water runs down, okay? So there's hot
So does
water.
electricity.
Does it?
Yeah, to ground, earth.
Okay, I never thought
Just
of
like
that.
lightning.
Okay, you reckon? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to use that somewhere. Okay.
Did I just teach you or something?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Well, okay, no, that's good. You got me there. Admittedly, I mean, I'm on camera and I'll admit it. Yeah, that's
No, very good. Yeah. No, I get it though. You can touch, feel, see. Yeah.
Because things like that made more sense. Because electricity, things like that, where you got to use a bit of your imagination and your intuition. Whereas if you've got a gearbox and bearings and it's in front of you, if something's not turning or something's not meshing, it's there. It just makes sense. Yeah. So again, maybe I'm wired that way. I was more drawn to the mechanical side of things.
Yeah. We could bring up my background then. So I did fitting machining and electrician.
An electrician.
Yeah.
So
it's dual trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is such a dual trade, or you did one and then you had
it was certificate for dual trade.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was such a thing.
Yes.
It was mainly designed for maintenance fitters who would need electrical license to disconnect electric motors.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I know the electrical side of things because I did both fitting, but I was more mechanical. So I sort of went down the path
of it,
fitting machining. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you did that for how long? Did you have a job somewhere?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah. It was within the pump industry.
Pump as in what?
Yep.
So give us an example. Like what?
So I mean, there's many pumps in buildings and whatnot, but you got your fire side of things. So like fire pumps, so diesel driven or electric driven. Then you've got building services. So that would be cold water supply, hot water, circulating, boosting pumps. So like anything over, obviously you got buildings that are a couple hundred meters tall.
You need to pump it up to a couple hundred meters high, whatever it is.
Yeah. So you've got boosting pumps with tanks and then pressure pumps from there down, or you might have different sort of, at certain stories, it's splitting up between whether it's gravity fed, whether it's boosted, whether it's Towns mains fed. So you got that, and then obviously you got all your submersible stuff. So in car parks, for stormwater, sewer.
Okay. So you'd be really good with fuel systems then?
It's definitely relatable. Definitely relatable. But different. Yeah. Relatable but different.
Okay. And then from there to say precision racing in today, because I mean, there's some stories we hear, what gets talked on the streets, but I don't know the actual real story, whether it's been covered before. Do you want to quickly
give
us a rundown?
I was working for a pump company, and then I ended up starting my own pump company after about 9 years of working for another company where I did my trade, and had that going, sort of still current now.
So that's still
it's
going?
Actually still current, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you run?
I have some other people working for it.
Okay, right.
So I don't do too much. I'm not that involved in it anymore. But that was since I was about 25. So 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. The automotive side actually started not long after the pump side started. I was doing both. So I was always doing car stuff on the side, even when I used to work for a pump company, just at a parent shed.
So you're doing it for yourself?
For myself.
For yourself, yep.
Yep, but I also did it for friends, close friends.
Yes.
Probably like what Josh has done in the past, right?
Okay.
Doing it for himself, but I was probably building engines a lot earlier, like in terms of age, because I was doing it. I would have been an apprentice when I was doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, I was sort of just working on my own stuff. It was in the Evo scene. Yeah, I would have been about mid-20s.
So Evo scene, which Evos exactly at that time?
So at that point I had an Evo 9, or had an ATeam, and then that got written off.
And how old would that car would have been at the time? So when you say Evo 8, what year are we?
Or say the Evo 9, because I remember that better. I reckon I would have been 25, 26, say 10 years ago.
Yes.
So 2013, around there.
So Evo 8 would have been, what, 2008, around there? 2000.
So the 09 model car was this guy. 2007 was the car.
Okay.
So
yes.
Fast Fours magazine.
Yeah, wow, okay. It does say just for the record. So it's also being recorded here now. So we got the...
This is our
yeah, so I used to use Mixed Motorsport for tuning.
Yes.
And advice, and just like how Josh would have used you back then. But I had a job, the pump side of things. That kept me busy and income and whatnot, whilst I had my toys and hobbies. I guess, obviously, friends would use me for their kind of stuff. And when I went out on my own with the pump stuff, I was like, hey, I probably got to start charging for this kind of stuff, because I'm actually working for myself now. So any time that I'm not at work, which I can do 3 days or 4 days running the pump stuff, but then I might spend 1 or 2 days in the shed working on your cars, I'm going to have to charge for it. Not as much free work. Sort of went down that route, and it got to the point where I was doing like 50-50, like 3 days in the shed and 3 days on the road. And it got to the point where I was like, I need to get a workshop to do this out of. There's too many cars at the parents' house.
And where was that? Are you local?
Yeah, they're at Vineyard. So
okay,
they're on acres with a shed.
Yes.
So I had a forklift there. It was very commercial. Not ideal when you're talking pushing cars in and out of shed with a step and you having to use a forklift to tow things up if they're not running. And it's just a pain. Got a workshop out at Kings Park, which I pretty much ran the automotive side from. And
how big was that place?
215 squares.
Yep.
We had 2 hoists, and then within, I'd like to say 12 months, we put a dyno cell in there. At that time, I was still using Mixed Motorsport for tuning, just customer cars. I think we used Dale for a couple of things as well from Car Seal Performance.
Yep.
But that's because I also grew up with Chris Turner, who is one of the fab guys there at Car Seal Performance. We actually did our trade together at the pump company. I think with our sort of the industry that we worked in and the trade that I'd done, we met a lot of people that were in automotive, right? Even though they didn't do a mechanical trade, automotive mechanical trade. So that sort of helped with things, like if I needed help, there's always people to ask. Look, everyone's been building cars forever. It must have been, I don't know, when did we move here? 4.5 years ago. So it still feels very fresh. Like I started at 25 at Kings Park, and then 5 years later, we moved here. But it took 2 years to set this place up.
Okay, because the story on the street's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well, look at Joe.
I don't know where this is going. I have no idea where this is going.
Go.
Now, the story on the street is Aaron's this squillionaire that owns multiple pump businesses. And this is just like a tax write-off on the side for a bit of play money.
Actual serious?
You're loaded, Aaron.
And apparently Joe's the real hard worker, and Aaron's just, again, this is the story which I came with this assumption here until I met you, and then I realised, no, this is obviously wrong. So, geez, stories
because I'm always
twisted.
Here.
Maybe you can't.
You're like hacking the guy.
You can't judge a book by its cover, maybe.
So it was funny actually meeting you, and we were doing that engineering project together.
Yeah.
And I was actually very impressed with the way you took that on and you ran with it, because a lot of people, when they're faced with that kind of adversity, and I see this engineering, they just slump away and it's like, and then they're just
too hard
basket. Whereas, you took it up and you're like, okay, well, I'm ready. Oh, all right. Yeah. That's cool, because you kind of feed off the energy of the person that you're working with. So it's like, okay, all right, let's do the next step. And then, that really changed my opinion. And again, I didn't want to ask see who's who, etc. I mean, it was
Yeah, so now
that's how.
I wish that was true. Multiple pump.
Well, that was
Oh, wow.
that's the story.
Yeah,
Because,
nah, definitely not. Definitely not the case.
And the first time I had heard of precision racing, for me was, I think we were at a GDR festival or something along those lines.
Yep.
There was this R35, I think a white one, and out of nowhere, this thing came and laid this crazy time down. I can't remember. You might know the car, and but this thing was just head and shoulders above everything else. I guess the biggest surprise factor was that, you know, a lot of people they're big characters, you know, and like, you know, whereas you just came out of nowhere, and it's like this car ran, and I heard your name being announced it was Aaron, and I didn't catch the last name. It was somewhat long, and the guy was speaking very fast, and then like this thing ran this time down, and you were like, you know, you did not say a word, nothing. You just let the result do the talking, which was like, oh, wow, okay, that was the first time that I had seen and heard of precision racing. And this would probably have to be, I don't know when you started doing R35s, because I hadn't seen, or our paths hadn't crossed when you were still doing the Evos.
Yeah, that probably would have been around 28, I reckon, years old. So what's that? 8 years ago?
Seven, 8 years ago. Okay, that's about the right time. And it was different when I first met Joe as well. It was under completely different circumstances.
Yeah.
No,
it's interesting you say that, because I thought, you know what, it may also have been thrown around, but people always come up to me and say, "Oh, we heard that you got so much money, blah 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 blah. You're a drug dealer."
The drug dealer. Okay.
Have you heard that?
No, look, I haven't heard the drug dealer.
I wouldn't normally say it, but I think this is a good place to address it.
I heard it was just inherited, and you were just rolling in it regardless.
Fuck me.
And you know, this was just a bit of a, because I've met a lot of people who like automotive, because like we were speaking, a lot of people will have a business or something, and then they'll play cars as a, because look at the building industry. I mean, it's like you go racing to drag racing, it's almost like a building convention, and the builders are out racing their cars. Almost.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like, you look at how many people are from the building industry doing it. So, you know, people like to do this as a hobby. So I thought this was a bit of a hobby, and I thought, okay, I'm doing my cars, I'll run a shop. It'll be a bit of a tax write-off. You know, I thought that was the...
I wish it was like that.
And that was the talk as well. So, you know, who's Aaron? And I said, oh, no, he's this loaded guy. And yeah, okay. Because
I must have put up a facade.
And again, people come up with funny stuff, and you don't know until you've met them. And then you know, once you meet them, it's like, same again. Because I go and do engineering and work for many different workshops, and you know, it's funny finally meeting them and seeing what it's really like there. You know, like I had many surprises, and I guess this has been the biggest surprise for me, is that no one's really got their feet up and just having an easy time. Like, I came there that day, you were stressed about something, you know, you're a runner, and like there's this constant, and never in one place that I walked into, whether it be for engineering, tuning, or whatever else they needed, it's like someone's got their feet up and they're just relaxed doing automotive.
I think it's worth noting that Aaron is probably one of, if not the hardest worker I know, have ever met. He's got a very unique way of thinking and different mindset to a lot, and he's taught me a lot in terms of that. And I'm very hands-on, always have been. And I'll get in there and I'll do it to the point where it's like, well, now that I've done it, nobody else can do it the way I've done it, so now I need to continue doing this, which is actually not the best way to think or do things, especially when you're running a business.
Okay.
So I've been told, but I'm learning.
Yeah, but that's true. I think Joe's referring to Joe's the hard worker. Aaron's not really, but it's like I use my brain.
Yeah.
And we create ways of doing things so that anyone that we teach down here can do them, like cookie cutter. So you don't have to have a brain. We create the way of doing it, just like McDonald's. You don't see the owner of McDonald's assembling cheeseburgers. It's just ridiculous. Same thing. When I see Joe doing what I call silly labour work, it burns me. I'd rather him be doing something where he's using his brain, something that someone else can't do.
Yeah, it's about trying to make people accountable for what they're doing, in terms of if you've developed a procedure, show them the procedure and make them accountable. Otherwise, they're never going to learn to do it the way that you've done it or worked it out or whatever. Because, I guess not everyone thinks the same or whatnot. But, for the record. He is actually an extremely hard worker.
Because on that, I had heard of you, Joe, previously from some fast cars because the name Hoon Tune was rather catchy, you know, and I heard, oh, that's cool, Hoon Tune, you know, because it rhymes, it's kind of the short, and if you had to put it up, it's kind of had that, you know. Yeah.
It all started out as a bit of fun between mates.
Yes.
So I'm actually a carpenter by trade. So
right, okay.
My dad was a cylinder head reconditioner engine machinist growing up. I was corrupt from a young age with all that. Always in the workshop, school holidays and weekends and whatever. And come to the end of school and my parents are like, well, you're not going to be a mechanic. You got to do something better.
Right, okay. So was it somewhat like looked down upon, or your dad
not
just
looked down
didn't
upon?
want you
We
going
just
down
saw
the
how
same?
we just saw how hard Dad worked, and continued to work, and greasy and smelly and all the rest of it with all the chemicals and everything. So we're not going to let you do that. Go and do something better. So decided to be a carpenter. When I worked for my uncle and done my trade with that, but obviously still loved the cars, so was playing with cars. I started with my EB Falcon on the side, J3 chip tuning and built-in engine and big camshafts and cylinder heads and all that fun stuff.
Then there was the BA onwards like sort of you well known
into
for
the BF. Started with that and that same thing, just my own car. Spent a lot of time and money developing that and ended up going fast. Well, back then it was I think it was a 10.4 at like 140 mile an hour, which for then it was like, well, shit, there wasn't many street cars or street Falcons going that fast, which sort of generated a bit of talk and whatnot. And more people started coming saying, hey, can you help me with this? Can you do this or that? Let's, see what you can do with this. And it sort of just went from there and started doing more and more to the point where I was tuning. So I'd be working a full day as a carpenter.
Right.
So waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock on site, 6:37, do a full day, come home and then do 4 or 5 hours of work of an afternoon, as in injectors, valve springs, fuel pumps, and then go and street tune. And I'd be doing that 4 or 5 days a week.
And Falcon, was that a choice or just what you came into? It's not like you had, because how some people grow up as just Ford people and or you get some people Tirana, so you weren't like that. It's like
no, just sort of fell into it. Dad had the XR6 turbo and then he bought a GT, which at the time was a brand new supercharged 5 litre, and I bought the XR6 turbo off him and thought it was pretty cool and went with it. That was about as far as that thought went. It was quite a big market at the time and growing and a lot of learning to do. Yeah, ran with it to the point where I had finished my apprenticeship, started my own company, carpentry, done that for a few years and then was still doing the cars on the side to the point where it got to, I was doing, 2 days carpentry or 2 days mechanical and 3 days carpentry or whatever. And it got to the point where I'm like, well, I was visiting Aaron 5 times a week, or I'd do multiple cars. Sometimes I'd do 3 cars a day. So
this is at Kings Park when you're visiting him?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm hiring his dyno, I'd doing the work and then driving to Kings Park, tuning it, going home, finishing the other car, drive to Kings Park, tune it, go home.
Yes.
He's like, dude, what are you doing? You need to just get a dyno, just buy a dyno. And I'm like, but it's a big decision. I need someone to stay. Like, I don't know if I want to.
With a dyno, you need a premise in a way. Like you can't do it. Put one in the garage.
100%.
It doesn't work 99% of the time.
It went from this cool, fun thing that I'm like, I like doing this. If I could do this full time. I remember thinking, I was talking to Aaron about this the other day. I remember sitting in a car tuning it, thinking, if I can make a living out of this one day, like that's goals. That'd be me done. I'll be happy with that.
Made it.
Yeah.
Look at that. You're here now, and it.
Yeah. So
Make a minute.
He's like,
and so you two joined together in what year? So how long has the partnership?
So yeah, we sort of skipped a bit there.
Okay,
yep. So I was sort of pushing him because I like to see people excel, right? Regardless, even though I'm making an income off his dyno highs, I'm already making a mozza though off all those pump company.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, all those pump companies that I have.
Flying.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, you just keep giving me too much money for these dyno highs.
Yeah.
Like
he actually said that.
Was that when you were thinking about buying the second Lamborghini then?
At that point.
You'd already had the first one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So at that time, I actually did, but it was a secret because I was worried about what everyone would say.
Yeah.
So I was like stashing all this cash away, and I just didn't have anywhere to put it anymore. So I was like, why don't you?
So now it's all downstairs in these cars. We can see it at least. Yeah.
You know why they called it Castle Hill? out around the corner there. Yeah.
Why is that?
We started digging and
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is not the case, but I still think logic is, at the end of the day, he knows what he's paying, and it's crazy. Like, you look at what you'd pay in a week worth of, like, maybe let's just say done 5.
It was a big commitment. It was something for me. I need to have a plan to be like, is this going to work? Is this going to work out? Or I hate being not unsure of something, and is it, how can I do it?
And then what happened? Did you?
So I took the plunge.
Yep.
Well, we discussed. Aaron had just bought this place.
Yes.
And was going to start thinking of moving in and whatever, going through council approval and all the rest of it. So I was going to rent the premises at Kings Park, Matt. So we had a bit of a time frame.
Leave it set up, like dyno room, extraction fan, like air compressor.
Because there's a lot goes into that.
Lines.
It's
you're
like
saving.
I was going to save heaps because it was all already established. So I think it was like an 8 or 10 month wait for the dyno at the time. The hub dyno as well, fresh, brand new. Pretty cool things, and like, cool. So once that comes, and you'll be out of here and I'll be in there. But then that sort of dragged out a bit because there was some issues.
Blacktown
Council, super slow here. My dyno was ready. I'm like, got a dyno, it's 100 grand's worth, and I've got nowhere to put it. How long are you going to be out? When are you going to get out of here? It wasn't happening anytime soon. There was no clear answers. So he's like, we'll just come into this workshop. This looks nothing like this. It was just an open frame. He's like, just use the corner, and I'll charge the same rent as I would have for there, and and
I'll put up a hoist.
Yeah, I'll put up a hoist. That'll be where it stays, which is still there now.
And at that point, you're not thinking of joining it.
No.
So there's
So at that point, I was like, he's got a dyno.
Right.
He's paid 100 grand for. He needs to be able to use it. I can't move out of Kings Park because we're still setting up down the back with the second level mezzanine and putting the dyno in the ground and whatnot.
It had barely started.
It had barely started.
Yeah. But council was...
But waiting on council to give approval to build. Like the DA was done and whatnot. It just took forever. It was like a 2.5 year
Nothing
saga.
like that is ever quick. It's,
Wasn't expecting 2 years.
I wasn't expecting it was over 2 years.
Yeah.
So I guess we put one hoist up here at the front, and he had his dyno beside it. He made like a little temporary room for building engines.
You had a hub dyno?
Yeah.
Which one did you have?
It was the 2000 before there was the
Mainline.
3000s.
Mainline,
Mainline, the one on the rollers.
Right,
rolling
like on
out.
a,
on the track. And that was good enough to get me going. Actually, it was pretty good at the time. I think there was only 1 or 2 other ones in the country at the time. Yeah, and then sort of from then, that's when we were talking more and hanging out more, and I remember Aaron distinctly a couple of times would say, "So when are you going to come and join the ATeam?"
All right, okay.
And
no, I have a feeling he set this whole thing up.
You
You just didn't know
reckon?
about it. He said, I have this place.
It was definitely
inadvertently.
part of
I think it probably became that. Look, we put out minds together and thought, hey, like it's going to be a broader stream of income because there's massive overheads, ridiculous overheads.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realise that. Like it's huge.
To have that much broader spectrum of work coming in, the smaller stuff, the bigger stuff, it helps with everything, cash flow and whatnot.
And then you get to put people on that aren't directly bringing in income, like have the office ran by somebody, all those,
absolutely.
those things that you can't charge for.
Yeah, because when you need to be a certain size for those things to make sense, because there's no point if there's just 2 of you then to have an office, but if there's 10 of you, then it's probably worth having someone just handling the office because then you can be more productive.
100%. So when we were throwing ideas like that around, it was great for me because I was on my own doing the mechanical, doing the tuning with AirPods or things in my ears, answering the phone all day, talking on the phone while doing everything myself, the paperwork and whatnot. So that was like, that's a great idea, Aaron. Let's do that. And it sort of just transformed from there.
We manifested it. I did.
And when I first met you, it was GDR festival, and I think you had Falcons there.
Yeah.
Was it? No, it wasn't GDR.
I think it was
What's the
Cuda.
correct name? Yeah, Cuda.
Cuda, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Probably
I
would have
called
been
you-
with Sly 310.
Slide 310, the
Would have been
orange
with Tony.
F6, and I think we just won the 6-cylinder class. I think you
Yes.
just had some Supras and stuff, and you were with the B2R guys.
Yes, yes,
Because I
at
was
the
using
time,
their
I remember.
Dyno 2 at the time.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we might have crossed paths there at some stage.
I don't think I've ever ran into you there, but it was at the event. It was actually after the event. Joe was at the bar, and he's laughing now. So I don't know
I
Joe.
actually saw these pictures the other day. Yeah, anyway.
Did you
I've
see
got
the pictures? You
yeah.
got pictures? Okay, I don't. You might have to send them
Yeah.
because it's so
Probably
you know.
inappropriate for the podcast.
No, not. So it was. I didn't know because everyone's mates. You know, we've all had a good time, and because I don't know how big it is in Cootamundra, but to me it looked like everyone that I've seen in Sydney sometime was there.
Yeah,
And
at the Globe. Yeah.
And most of the people, you can tell who are locals, who are not. So Joe was there at the bar, and we got talking, and I don't think we've even talked cars. We were just having a chat, and then I think he shouted me on how many drinks. I can't remember. He's laughing. So we
I don't remember. That was the other joke.
Just I was returning, so it wasn't I wasn't taking advantage of a drunk man at the time.
Yeah.
Just so for the record, yeah.
In what way are you referring to?
Hey, we said there's pictures, so let's not go too far into it. Right?
What happened in Kuta stays in Kuta.
So, but I remember getting a really good, vibe, and I thought it was a genuine guy. You know how some people you just don't gel with. I know there's alcohol involved, but I thought I could still be friends with this guy outside of the, pub. It's
Him
because
buying
it was
me
good. It
drinks.
was, even without the drink.
Yeah.
It was, and again that was the last of it, I think,
For a
until
while, yeah.
we got talking about some engine parts or Hemi parts or
Hemi
something.
parts,
how
that's
many
right.
how many years on? Maybe
Oh, it would have been
8 years ago.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I called you for some advice for some Hemi stuff once. But and it was likewise. Like you were always approachable, and I felt I could ask those sort of questions, and I guess that's why I did, because I don't really reach out to too many people like that. It's good, and I guess that's all goes to show what the community is like, or that we can
should
be
be
like that.
What it should be like, because again, a lot of us are very close. It's kind of like all these secrets, and not want to share it or show it with anyone. But I think there's a lot to learn from one another and from other people, because sometimes I used to hold, say, lessons and sessions where I teach people how to tune. Even from people that you're teaching something, you can learn something back, because they highlight something and you go, I never thought of it that way before. And because he's seen it through entirely different eyes. And because again, as we are exposed to these, our opinions form, and we kind of can become a little bit one-dimensional.
Yes.
And we're sort of like, and then someone else comes along that doesn't know as much, and you go, okay, you kind of see their way of looking at the same problem.
Yeah, it's very true. And that's part of the reason also why I manifested this.
Right.
Because you never have anyone to bounce off on. You know what I mean? Or back on. I felt like I was always on my own, even though I did have friends in the industry. But when it became technical, especially with the vehicles that I was sort of choosing to work on, it was like always something that no one else did.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't really ask anybody any advice.
But then there's a lot of universal things like fuel systems or turbos or things like that you would... There's people that we bounce off or call and say, hey, have you used this turbo? What did you make? It says this, but I'm not getting anywhere near it. What have you made? Or, what does that fuel pump flow? Have you tapped it out? Have you dropped fuel pressure in that? Which I guess is something that happened as well.
I guess the partnership has also allowed that able to bounce off each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Since when do you have a shop with two tuners that both can tune without each other on two different platforms even?
Yes.
But still know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very common. And it allows us a little bit of somewhat freedom if we need to have it, like going away and the shop still runs. And
yes.
Yeah. So I think there's more to it than just, I guess, increasing the amount of turnover and the amount of vehicle models that we're able to support. There's more to it. And so everything was just a plus. I guess the only risk is...
What if it doesn't work out?
If it doesn't work out.
What's the exit plan?
Yeah, that's right. But I think at that point we sort of knew each other's personalities and just felt natural from day one.
Right. Okay.
And it hasn't it hasn't been an issue. Well, not on my end.
Okay.
I think we both require quite unique.
I think I'm harder to
personalities.
work with than what Joe
Right.
is. But
Joe's very polite on the phone. It's like, it's like,
and what am I?
huh? Joe, I'm
He's
saying,
buying time. Joe's polite.
very polite on the phone. So absolute gentleman. Every time I get a phone call or he answers, it's like, it's sort of like,
You're in Fiji.
Huh? I'm in. I'm even more in Fiji when
Yeah.
I'm talking to Joe.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
how is it when you're talking to me?
No, I'm not here to make comparison.
No.
I was just mentioning Joe. So
I've
making
I've definitely said to him, if Wiz is gonna hate you, dude, you gotta like relax.
no. I mean, admittedly, I think I have more dealings with you because again, in the things we do, we cross paths more often.
Or was it time crunch?
Yeah.
Or
Hey, your boss calls me up at any time for certain codes to unlock ECUs, and hey, how quick does it take me to do it?
Right, I think
How many seconds?
If there was a gold medal, this would be something above gold. Is there titanium medal
Platinum,
or something? Or
platinum.
platinum. Sorry, I should know my materials. I'm an engineer and all, don't know materials.
Not a metallurgist.
So, no, absolutely amazing. And that kind of blows you away as well. Hey, I may not give it away at the time. And like I hang up the phone and I think to myself, this guy turned this around so quick. I was like,
It's how I work.
It is good when you have that because, sometimes we're working all hours of the day and you hadn't thought about getting that code. And just clarifying this as well for people listening who may not know what we're talking about with codes. Yeah. Some products that you buy, you have to enter in a code for that product to enable and for it to work. I don't know why it's done that way. I guess security reasons, etc. But sometimes you get your wiring done and, it's after hours, you're trying to get ready for a race meet and you plug in and I forgot the code. So who can I call this late at night that's not going to, have an allergic reaction because it's outside of work hours. But the good thing is, I guess, we've all been there. So again, in automotive, no one really gets a surprise.
How many rings till Aaron answered your call?
Mate, Aaron goes like this, right? Because as the message says, if it's urgent, ring again. So you just keep ringing.
Oh, no, he answered mine on the second ring.
On the second ring.
When I needed my code.
Okay, I don't count rings because I'm probably multitasking as I'm ringing, so it's like no time to count the rings. But
100%.
But it does say if it's urgent, please text me. Or how does the message go, Joe? You must have heard it millions of times.
I hang up as soon as I hear it.
You hear it, okay? Because I've had to hear it a few times.
I think if it's urgent, call again. Yeah.
Oh, he
call
must
again.
only do that to you.
I don't know, but then it just suggests that just make his phone buzz, like run his batteries out. He's going to answer it sometimes.
Yeah. I think I did state a second time, so that it's not call again, call again, call again. I think it's call a second time.
I don't know. Maybe it's time to revise it now that it's all been
right.
It's time for a new
number.
I'll be in trouble then when I need codes. It's like Aaron, I need a code.
Yeah. Nah, look, I think it's. Yeah, when you started saying Joe's very polite, I was like, okay, so I must be the contrary. I think I'm just straight up and honest. I'm very black and white.
Hey, just because I'm polite doesn't mean I'm not honest. Different ways around it.
Yeah, I'm pushy. I get things done.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
It's true though, right? It's true.
No, but someone's got to do that sometimes. You got to be that bad boss or the manager that's like, he's breathing down my neck. But it does move things along.
Yeah.
In moderation.
So
like
basically
everything
tonight, Aaron's the bad guy and Joe's the good guy.
It's every day.
Because that's what it seems like.
Is that so?
The boys in the workshop call us.
Yeah, it's his mum and I'm dad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, when I asked the question there.
We need a few of the boys joining the podcast.
No, we don't want everything to come out. No, but you know what? I give what I expect as well, which is what I was relating to there. Like, how long do you have to wait when you need something? Because I give everybody straight away because I know they're in the position where they need it. It just means that I'm pushy when I need something.
Okay.
Because I know that sometimes you just...
But
I'm not saying that you were slow or anything.
No, but you were never pushy in a bad way because, if you come off the wrong way, because the person at the other end is going to say, couldn't be bothered with this guy because it's just too much trouble.
Trouble than what it's worth.
So don't want to be that guy either.
No.
It's
a little bit of a push.
It is, but I was impressed with how you got that whole project done with the Lambo. It was, Yeah.
It was good.
No,
I
well
guess
done.
you,
It was,
you guided us through that, and on the other side of that, you said that we made it easy. You actually made it easy for us in terms of you told us exactly what we needed to do it right.
Yeah.
And there was no beating around the bush. You're like, you need to do this, this, and this. And there's no point me even looking at it until you've done that.
But I'll, with the same requirements, I can tell you 50% of people buckle and I don't hear from them again, or they might let it drag out for 6 months or a year till they've got the momentum again.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Yeah, I guess it's always a little bit of a scary concept, getting a car engineered. There's all these requirements, but
it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's not pleasant. And before I got into it, it's probably coming on to, it's 10 years now. So it's been 10 years. And it's not what I thought it would be. It's very much like legal work. It's more desk and pen pushing than actual engineering. It's not really engineering. The correct term is compliance.
Yeah.
It's really compliance.
Yeah. But I guess you've got some sort of insurance, professional indemnity insurance.
Yeah, you
Right.
have to, because to have the license.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like you must be an engineer to be able to get the professional indemnity insurance to be able to say that I ticked that box. That's why it goes to an engineer. Otherwise, realistically, it can just go to any pink slip guy to go, no, that complies, that complies.
Probably can, and the system's set up in a way that engineer's always the bad guy if something goes wrong with it. So that way the government can go, okay, it was the
Point the
certifier
finger.
or the engineer that was wrong. So then, because we don't work for so we're not paid inspectors by the government, because when you come to me, I'm actually working for you.
Us. Yeah.
It's just that we have to play by the rules of given to us by, now they're called Transport for New South Wales. Again, they got rules, and admittedly, the new system is quite flexible and good. I don't have too many dramas. It's again, it's not what people expect, especially if they've never been through the process. But I think the scariest part is if you build a car with no regard to engineering, and then you get defected, and then later you try to turn it into an engineerable car, there's a lot of work then, and it is scary. But if you build a car from the ground up that one day I'm going to get this engineered, it's really not that much extra work. I mean, you guys been through it, so I mean, I don't know what you think from your end, because I only see it through my own eyes, and I'm on this side, and then you had to go through it. So
Yeah, I think it was fine.
and again, a lot of the requirements, etc., I don't know what you found, but okay, it is strict, but it is not. Again, it doesn't feel.
I mean, we had a
completely-
factory car that didn't pass, right?
Look, so for certain things, yes, we had a factory car wouldn't pass a certain test, and again, I don't know how they approved it and that got through, and how that gets checked and audited. But we've discovered a car together. We've done the test, and no way that car was going to pass that test and that compliance.
Yeah.
which then just makes it harder for us to then pass it.
Yes. So I guess all we did what we could do then is that we got the stock car, and then we did a comparison test in case there is something off with the way we're testing. That like if you meet the same level as the factory car, then we're still at the unmodified level. Therefore,
no changes made.
no changes made. And again, just to so listeners can understand, we're talking about was noise regulations.
Yep.
We tested a car and it was above the noise regulation, and it wasn't just a little bit; it was clearly above.
Yeah.
Again, but that's a road car, and that's held to the same standards that we're trying to comply to.
Yep.
And then maybe our method was not 100%, because again, there's a lot involved in this test. In that, we did the best we could. That the modified car, was it the same or less than the unmodified car?
We ended up actually coming in underneath.
You did.
Underneath the regulation, so we're actually better off. Than
You were better than the. And again, on paper, it was actually interesting, and it did come that way. It was you run into interesting things like every job you do, there is some quirk or something that you didn't know, and then you learn and you go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, and then here we are.
Yeah.
Should probably thank Hacks at Performance Exhaust Centre for that muffler.
For that muffler, yeah.
SP mufflers.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking briefly about your Supra earlier, Josh, before the cameras got turned on.
Yep.
So you went 770
4.
at...
179.97.
Wow, she's moving, eh?
Shit.
I remember when that was stock engine and we were having a laugh.
Yeah.
We were trying to run then. You were trying to crack a 9 back then?
No. Back then, I think I was 917.
Oh, that's right.
And then I think Tony's car was like 919 or 920.
Okay, yeah.
And we're on par and we're always going out racing. It was awesome. And I think they had the roll drags back then.
That's right.
And we had the night at the roll drags and that was a bit of a blast from the past. I think that's probably going now, have to be at least 5-6 years ago now. Yeah, I think probably like 2017, 2018. So yeah, a long time ago.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so congrats on that.
So
Thanks for that.
how much does it weigh?
It's 3450 pounds, so it's about 1550 kilos.
So that makes
with
probably
me.
1450 or something? 1420?
My partner over here doesn't believe in hub dynos, and he's very old school, and he likes to put the power in at the track.
Yeah, good.
So we tune it to about 32, 35 pound just on the rollers, till it starts to try and turn the tyres. So we make roughly about 900 horsepower. Then we go to the track and we turn it up from there. Set all the nitrous up and tweak it from there, and that's sort of the path we go down. I'd love to put it on a hub dyno just to see what it actually makes. But yeah,
not that it matters.
Not that it matters. I mean, the track doesn't lie.
That and I think dyno and the dyno number lost its meaning a while ago because there's so many bogus numbers now. Would you agree? Like it's not an even playing field anymore. It's not directly comparable.
The only thing we use it for is comparing about our other owned cars. So because
what
our
did you
stuff
say?
is all
You compare it to other?
Our cars that we build.
Other
they're
cars
all
that
cookie
you do.
cutter.
Yes.
I know if they're out by 5%, it's a problem. Something's wrong.
Yes.
Something's not right.
Yeah.
If we're talking, we're getting our like PR16 within like 5-10 horsepower at 1620.
Okay. That's impressive. Okay.
And
that consistency. Okay.
Yeah, it's very consistent. Same with the V10 stuff, right? It's very consistent. As soon as we're down a little bit, we know something's wrong.
Yeah, we were able to diagnose a cat falling apart.
Yes.
Like a factory cat falling apart on a Huracan the other day, just because all the numbers and the ECU, everything seemed right. We were pulling a bit of fuel out of it, but it wasn't making the power it should have, which made us look further. You couldn't hear anything different. You couldn't see anything different. Like it was all.
And how much was this down by again? Did you say
100 horsepower?
Yeah,
100 horsepower. So 100 horsepower. So
10%.
in perspective, about
10%.
10%. But 10% is not that easy to find. Like when something's down 50%, it's obvious.
Yeah.
When it's 10%, what is it? Is it three things at 3.5 and bit percent, or is it just one thing? It becomes quite
quite
tricky
which you wouldn't pick up on the street. But it's also dangerous for the engine. It's back pressure and all the rest of it. I think it's a useful tool, and we use them daily.
The other thing is, I guess, if you're not doing the same engines all the time, your cam control stuff, you know what I mean? Without some sort of dyno, it's hard to work out, where you should be in terms of cam angle if you got VCT. I mean, you don't have that, do you?
No. He doesn't. But I guess coming back to that, the comment wasn't that dyno is useless. I think it's useless to compare from shop to shop, car to car,
100%.
because there's that much variation that, you get cars, I'm making X kilowatts, and then, he's running more power than you on the dyno, yet he's 20 mile an hour slower. It's like, there's only one dyno that doesn't lie. It's the big black one.
Yeah.
Like, you go there, it's whoever finishes in front has got more power regardless of what the dyno says.
Yeah.
So, and coming back to what you were saying, say cam timing, etc. These things, again, you don't need to run the car at maximum power to find out.
Yep.
Because, you would agree that if your cam timing's correct at 15 PSI, it's also 95% plus correct at 45 PSI.
That's right. It's
So
basically engine speed.
That's it. Yep. So then in that sense, same again, this is what we do with some car, only because, that's all we can do with a roller dyno. And we get the car right, and then we go at the track and adjust it from there. Because the other thing that has happened to me and caught me up many times is that I had a car perfect on the dyno. I went to the track and it is not exactly the same. Okay, because there are other factors there. One is in the dyno room, you've got external wastegates and things discharging. Okay, you've got air quality that even if you got airflow, it's not exactly the same, or it's not the same as when the car's traveling through the on the track at 150 plus k's an hour with all that cool air going past it. So many times I've done tune-ups and spent a lot of time on the dyno. I went to the track only to
Add fuel.
take this, add that. So then it kind of felt like we're doing it twice. So I'll do it enough to prove the car that it works, and it makes because again, you can calculate if a car makes, say, 1,000 horsepower at 30 psi, you can calculate what it should make at 45.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you look for a problem. What's losing efficiency, that it's not going, to power you'd expect at 45 psi. So we go to the track, then again, it sort of cuts out that time. I mean, it is kind of cool to know, yes, because Josh is very keen. Oh, was it? Because many times he's gone, oh, yeah, I'm just going to run it on the dyno to find out what it's going to do. Then he goes and runs it. And then, he hasn't even got a fan in front of the car on the intercooler. It's like you went to all that trouble to get a number and at least make sure there's a fan in front of the thing.
That was the wife's car, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, regardless, but the point was that we were going there to get a number to brag about. Yeah, and
so you could post it up online and show his mates.
Well,
Show his RB mates.
Yeah.
No, I think just to quieten, to show up
it's just quieten all the RB mates, according to him, because it's always this
just on that note. So basically, with last weekend going out to Grudge Kings, we decided to take the car out, and we had a change of heart with the ECU that we had in the car. We want to do a bit of roll racing with the car now, so I'm going to stop drag racing for a little bit and try and concentrate on some roll racing. Pretty much due to the fact that everything at roll racing now is all-wheel drive, as you'd know. You guys are in that boat, and I want to go fast with a rear-wheel drive car at roll racing. So basically, we changed the ECUs. We put an M-Tron in it now, KV8. It's got a lot of functions in it. It got a lot of good functions that we can try and get to go fast with than what we had in it before. So we've just changed to a progressive nitrous setup as well, so that we can change the nitrous shot on the go, which should be able to get us to go well. We went out to the track the other day. It was the first outing with the progressive nitrous setup. We were chasing a fuel supply issue at first on the Friday. Went through everything. We finally sorted out what it was, and we think it was just a vacuum leak off the block to the reg, and it was just hitting fuel cut on the launch. As soon as it saw 32 pound, we'd run a vacuum test through it. Nothing would show.
We believe there was we still don't know 100% what it was, but the most likely culprit is that the car was losing fuel pressure as it came on power. So, and then computer would go, okay, not enough fuel pressure, safety shut down
just dropped
before everything
15%.
leans out or you get engine
15
damage.
PSI, I should say.
So the fuel pressure was trailing approximately 15 PSI behind where it should be. So we believe it was a vacuum block that had a leak in it. But at the time, because you're at the track, you're trying to get this thing to work. We've changed that many things. We don't know in the end what fixed it because we put a different fuel pump, different feed. You get in there and then just the night prior, we were in that area playing with the nitrous solenoid, new things in
Got
the
your
engine bay
hands
there.
down in the engine bay.
Maybe we disturbed something. Again, we didn't realise because one thing with Josh's engine bay, it looked fairly neat and nice because most things are hidden under the engine or under the manifold. So it gives this clean look, which makes it a little bit harder when you're trying to troubleshoot something. Because then,
100%.
one, your hands don't get in there, and two, even if you can, it's sort of like really long nose pliers or something. Hard work. So then you end up dismantling it, pulling it out of the car, and then you do it, and then you get it back in there. But so we only got two good passes down here because the Friday
and on
was
that
a
note,
test
I'd
day.
like to make a shout out to Paul Mahayed as well from Elite Race Parts. Mate, I put a post up just saying that I needed a mechanical fuel pump, thinking that that's what it was. Straight away, mate, I've got a mechanical pump for you. I'll bring it tomorrow to the track, and you can just put it on the car. I mean, what a legend. That's what the race community should be about, is helping each other. We're all going out there to go fast. We're all going out to try and, do a PB. But by the same time, helping someone out like that was really good.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. That it was, So shout out for that as well. So we went out and we got only 2 good passes. First one was a 781 at 179. So that was a PB from the previous 789 that we went with the old ECU. That was with the progressive nitrous setup. So we didn't really get a lot of time to test on it. It was only the first day sort of thing. And then the second pass, we went out and the box, I think the ratchet, something to do with the ratchet, the cable might have stretched a little bit. So it sort of neutralised. It didn't
So
really
you
go
went first
into
gear, and then when you went to grab the gear, it bounced off the rev limiter.
sort
So
of-
we again thought, it's that dreaded fuel issue again. But when we checked the logs, no, it feels good. So
Yeah, it
let's
was-
find
it was
whatever's
the-
wrong
it
next.
was the
'Cause,
cable.
we were just, because the whole weekend we were there, how many passes we've had, not single good pass. And at that
it was
point,
just all
everyone's
60 foots.
getting, edgy, and, everyone's sort of...
Then
Because
Friday,
we can't
then
find
Saturday.
something either. And, Paul was great that he came with the pump, because the pump we'd done some calculations. It looks like we got maybe 10, 15% additional flow.
Yep.
But then you get the pump wearing down. It's easy to lose that 10, 20% extra.
Yeah,
and then,
especially with the
you just,
mechanical pump.
because it seemed to be sort of happening as the power's coming in around the 2-second mark.
Yeah.
So we headed out for the last pass and we thought, let's just hope this thing works. I hope it just changes gears. And the 60 wasn't too bad. It was a 127. The car has been a 123. Keep in mind, this is a full
Very fresh.
standard rear end.
Yeah.
So it's got, they're a G series diff. It's got a welded centre.
Yeah.
And it's got standard Toyota axles,
Yeah.
which are 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but Josh has got how many spare diffs and axles? So he's there. He's ready.
I've got
So
a
we're ready.
ute full. I come prepared.
So, if it was going to break, we're going to change it. And
We had diffs,
run
we had
regardless.
axles.
Yeah.
60 was a 127, has been previously 123. And then, we went 504 at 145 and a half to the half.
Yep.
And, we went 774, 179. So we're extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
With that car, the way that car is set up, it's on pump E85. It's got no grout. It's got no firings. It's got all off-the-shelf parts.
Yep.
It's got spool rods in it.
Yeah, wow.
Okay. Everyone says spool's no good. I've proved that they're good.
Yep.
I think Joe's used a few of them in the barrows. I think
the
back in
past,
the
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's making the power, and it's been reliable. The car's been going now for probably about a year with this motor. We haven't even opened it up and had a look at it. And so and it's a full wet sump. So there's no dry sump. We're turning sensors off.
On
So-
launch, so it doesn't trip the oil pressure.
so it doesn't trip the oil pressure.
cut.
So
But
we'd love to have a look at the bearings now to see what they're like, but the motor still sounds strong. And
Because the engine is realistically, if someone came to you and said, I just want a good street engine.
Yeah, it's the
I want to be
basic.
able to run just basic, good, pistons, rods.
That's what you'd be
rods, head bolts, and assemble it together. Say, everyday high 9-second sort of street engine. That's what it is.
Yep.
Because again,
What head gasket?
standard Toyota.
Yeah.
Really? They're good,
Yep.
yeah?
Yeah,
Crazy, yeah.
standard Toyota.
65 studs or?
Yeah, 625 studs, spool rods. It's got real street billet main caps.
Not half-inch head stud.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's just got the CA65s.
Must have a good tuner.
Well, we try our best. Again,
Yeah, I think, look, for what we've got now, it's currently the quickest and fastest IRS Mark III Supra in the world.
Yeah.
And I believe we have just taken the record and we have the quickest IRS Supra in Australia now.
Yeah, right.
And that's done all on a standard rear end.
Like actual standard rear end. Yeah.
The other car, we believe, has an 8.8 IRS,
Yep.
which is like a Grannis setup,
Yep.
and billet axles.
Yeah, right.
We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive for
you
what
gonna-
it is, for what we've got.
See, are you going to push it further and see when they break or?
well,
Look, I've broken a few diffs.
Okay, yeah.
It's only really when it tramps. We ran a 28x9 Pro bracket radial. I find just with the 28, and it's quite a small tyre. Most people are running 275s. The 28x9 has got a really good sidewall, and I find because it's between a slick and a radial, it's probably helping the diff. That's the only thing that's probably keeping the car together. There's a lot of people in the States that are doing, say, 130 60s, and they're breaking them time and time again. I think this diff we've just done 11 passes.
Yep.
And just on the last 7.7, it was a bit noisy down the
Was it
return
noisy?
road. So
You didn't say anything. Okay, it was?
Yeah, no, I didn't say anything because I was still celebrating.
Okay.
It drove onto the trailer to get it home.
Yeah.
And the car is actually street registered, and I do drive it every now and again, which is pretty cool. I just try and watch where I drive it.
Yeah.
Don't
What
go to
turbo's
the
on this
city.
one?
So it's an 80 mil. It's a bit of a bitzer.
Yeah.
It's a 476 Borg Warner, and it's been machined out from ProCharge in Melbourne, and it's got like a billet 80 mil front wheel in it.
Yeah.
It's still a journal turbo.
What's the rear wheel?
The rear wheel I think is 88.
Yep.
So it's an 80-88. I think it's the gas that's helping it because I think at about 172, maybe 174.
I think the turbo maxed out at about 170 mile an hour because we were 43 PSI was all it would give. Even if you kept the gate shut, that's it. It's on that car, on that weight. It was, no matter what we did, it was just 170, 172
so
mile
we'll
an hour.
just feed it some gas, baby.
So then it was basically the easy way out. I mean, the cheapest way to get the horsepower, because you think about buying and putting another turbo on the car.
Fabrication.
Yeah, so that's going to be, gas is cheaper than that.
Yeah.
So, okay, you got to refill
I love my
it,
Nitrous
and
guy. Shout out to Mick.
Yeah.
And the week leading up to it, Josh comes in. He says, "Oh, I think I'm just working for the Nitrous guy because he's filling bottles. Because what we're doing is to get this progressive nitrous set up at the workshop. We're doing tests. We're pulsing the solenoid and go, okay, X
Over
amount
time.
of gas flows. Yeah, over
We're
time.
weighing it on a digital
And
scale
then we're weighing it
down
on a
to the
digital
gram.
scale. So we can see, okay, at this duty, it flows this. Okay, that one, it flows that. It's trying to get a bit of a map because it's not linear, but it's like a fuel injector with further limitations at either end being the opening, the end where you start injecting, trying to pull it down. You can only pull it down so far before the solenoid won't open, shuts. And then same again at the upper end, you can only pulse it to so much duty.
Before it's wide open.
Before it's wide open, it just hangs and it just won't close.
Yep.
So, and a couple of mishaps, etc. We burned through three
bottles of nitrous.
Nitrous, trying to map out this thing because the idea was that we're going to get this right for this meeting because Josh said, oh yeah, about a month ago, he said, yeah, I've entered Grudge Kings and we're doing it. And I said, okay, because at that time, Grudge Kings felt like it was ages away. And then you know how these
All the
deadlines come up.
events feel like
So
ages away.
then he goes, there's only 2 weeks now. I said, oh, well, okay, start coming every night now so we can, to suss out some of this because we're going to go with a fresh setup because it's a new computer, new nitrous setup. So it's a lot for me because, for that, you need a bit of luck on your side as well, which, touch wood, it paid off. But we had one run at Wednesday night drags with no boost, nothing, just to prove that, the computer and everything worked. And then the next meeting was, okay, we're there racing.
Yeah, and I think we went 8.6 at 163 or something. That was the first full pass with the new ECU.
Yeah, so that was about 30 PSI, 32 PSI.
Yeah.
So that was about, how much power do we make at that on the dyno, Josh?
I think 890.
So just under 900 horsepower. So then it went 160 odd miles. So again, it sort of backed up what it used to do with the old setup. So we know we're on the right track. But then this progressive nitrous thing, trying to get that to control because the nitrous is also coming dry. So the fuel system has got to come. So I've got to calculate how much fuel to put in.
For each gram of nitrous.
Yes.
Essentially.
And set that up.
So we've got two nozzles in the front of the intercooler pipe.
Yep.
And one down towards the bottom and another one towards the top.
We've separated it so that way, because as you know, as the solenoid pulses, you get one pulse, you get big shot of NOS, and then solenoid closes, you get nothing. So if you actually slowed that down in slow motion, you're getting these waves of NOS, right, with nothing in between.
Yep.
Yeah. So then if there's two solenoids, they're distanced apart, hopefully evens out and we're filling the gaps with it.
Yep.
So we that was kind of a bit of a side effect thing because we were going to go a single one first and then we floated on the bench and this isn't gonna flow enough.
Yeah, it was only
I think we got about 120, 130 horsepower worth, wasn't it? It was with one solenoid.
With one, yeah.
So then the second one, and then we said, okay, well, don't put them the same, separate them, and then as it pulses, hopefully, it's going to fill the gaps and it's all going to be okay.
Yep.
So then we had knock control set up. So I didn't know how much timing to run or what to do exactly because never been on the don't never been tested. So basically one run went and it was good. So next run to get the power, it's kind of like not max out the timing, but generous timing and let it ride on the knock sensor and just let it pull and settle where it is. And then that's around there is what we will run. So then we sent the car out like
old school tuning on the street.
Yeah, I've been there.
So it went and it was good.
Fast.
Apart from this,
it was good.
No, it was a fun event.
Out of interest,
yeah.
With the big shot of nitrous, how much did you run in the end? 300?
No, I don't think it'd be 300. I've done the calculation. I reckon it was less than 200 shot.
Did it pull any
for
time?
10 mile an hour?
But the net effect in power is way more than that because not just the NOS power you're gaining, it's the cooling, air density and all the side effects.
Which we see that. When you're tapping out a turbo, you'll gain more than what the shot is.
Yes, definitely.
Well, it had gone 177 with 120 shot in it. So we measured the grams per second from the old setup with the old nozzle. And then we worked that out. It was a 120 shot.
Yep.
So now, was under 200 now. So the car has a little bit more, but not with the wet sump. It's just you're pushing it too much. It's just not worth it. Do we want to blow a motor to go 7.5? I don't think so. I think I'm quite happy with that. For something that I built to go a low 8, a 7 if I was lucky to go 7.7, I've achieved my goal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well done.
Now we'll do a bit of roll racing. Throw some of those Pro Street radials on and set up traction control and
go in as the underdog.
Progressive nitrous.
Go in as the underdog because, again, technically speaking, an all-wheel drive car is always going to win if things go right. But if you're there with a rear-wheel drive car, they miss a gear or something happens, hey, you got to be there. And in the off chance, I think his car will go okay with good traction control and good setup because it runs at the strip with traction. But again, roll racing, 1, there's no traction. 2, at high speeds, the track's so bumpy. Yeah. You notice that? It's like, you lose so much traction over bumps. Yeah. It is crazy. With a big power car, you can feel the car load up against the bump as you sink into the seat. And then it lets go. And then, it doesn't matter whether if you got enough power, you can be a 4-wheel drive and it's gonna let go at that instant. So there's suspension. And then there's power management. As you hit the bumps, you got to find a way of pulling it out just as you're coming off the bump and then put it back in as soon as the car's on the flat again. Yeah.
Which changes point every time every lap because there's not a consistent starting point.
No, it isn't. So again, we're running sensors. So I can tell when the car's going over a bump. Yeah. So then, at that point, okay, it's loading up because as you're riding the bump, you get a lot of traction, more traction than normal.
Yeah,
so
you got more force.
If you could even increase the power there. And then as you're coming off, sort of preemptively, rather than waiting for traction control to kick in while you get wheel spin, because if you get wheel spin, then the car becomes harder to drive. You got to get enough wheel spin, but not excess, that it still remains drivable, that you've got the confidence to keep the pedal down. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who can drive very well without this stuff. That they'll make it work. They'll hold the pedal down and still make it work.
Yeah, interesting. I'm very keen to see how he's go with that.
Well, last time I went, I think we turned the tyres from 60 to over 200.
I did a log, and I think he was showing off as well. He was,
he stayed in it
because he got me to get in the car. He goes, "Oh yeah, come for a run." I said, "I don't like doing this, but all right, let me get in." So then, because we were troubleshooting, his NOS wasn't coming on. So when there's no NOS, as you know, these cars come on full boost about half track and then blaze the tyres. So NOS worked and everything came on power. And that setup at that power, we're not spraying it the whole time. NOS is just there to bring it on. So it came on, and then because it was spinning as it came on, he clicked it into second gear. So the car's doing maybe 100, but I can see in the wheel speed, it's like over 200 Ks, the rear wheels. So he's blazing it most of the way. And I think once the front wheels got up to about 210, 220, the spin stopped, and then and even after it gained traction, because there was some track and he was enjoying him, so he stayed into it, and there's that turn coming up. So
It was extremely funny because I looked to the left and there he is holding the laptop and the whole car's just full of smoke.
Oh my god!
yeah, it's got like two hands on the laptop.
I can't believe you didn't tap out already. I would have been like, all right, what are you trying to do?
Well, it happened like that. So,
Yeah.
if they said to me, this is what's going to happen if I'm going in prepared, I would have had one hand ready, It's
Yeah.
so you just call it off. But,
Sure.
Well, you had some questions for me. You said at the start.
oh, no, we've got questions as well. Now, depending on your questions, we've got some ammo here we're going to fire back. There's a bit of give and take, you guys
Yeah,
said
yeah.
at the beginning of this. So we're prepared for
Look,
that.
I'm happy to have mine first and just give me level 3 boost straight up.
Okay, then. All right. So, no.
On the
hang
two-step.
No, Josh, I think we hold on to our cards. We're quite safe.
I don't even know
this
what
is-
you're
this is-
talking
these-
about.
It's not a stitch
Is
up.
he
I don't
playing
know.
bluff?
I don't
Is he
know.
bluffing me?
I don't know.
No,
This
but
guy's
we-
full of
we-
surprises.
We've come prepared, so we'll let you guys go first. But Joe's got his phone and he's,
I'm just looking at some of the questions that got sent in today. As always, there's some
Okay.
funny ones.
yes.
But let's go for, here we go, for Josh. Can you please make your drag car lighter? I got a sore back from pushing it around all weekend.
That would have been Steven Zaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did I know?
Sorry, you can give him shit when his car's back out.
Yeah, I can't wait for that pretty blue ute to come out.
Josh, how much are you going to sell your car for when Zamet beats you at roll racing?
I don't think that'll ever
It's
happen.
not going to happen. is
That's
it?
Yeah,
not going to
reckon?
happen. No, that's not going to happen.
Unless you blaze the
I don't know,
tyres.
we're
Steve's the only guy I know that's got a 9-second car, right? 8-second car, I should say, that runs 9s. I might have to drive it for him, I think.
We're going to help him out with that a little bit. We're
changing the
putting
gearbox.
putting trans brake on the ZF.
We're changing the gearbox.
So we're going to try that.
We keep stirring him up saying, when are you putting this Turbo 400 in it?
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand that language.
He drives that car more on the street than the track.
Yeah, I know.
It's a
I
street
know.
car that goes to the drag sometimes.
And he's got a ute. You think he'd have it full of girls, and he doesn't.
Yeah, can't answer that one. Don't know how that works.
Are they attracted to Falcons?
Next question.
Next,
He's going to have to travel to
Sorry.
Tamworth.
Sorry, Joe.
no, that's all good.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you may have heard these questions before, but I'm gonna say them anyway.
All right, Aaron, let's be original, please. Let's, play it fair, no hitting below the belt. Just,
Was it fruit salad questions?
I've
Oh,
got a
look,
few.
look, all right.
There's been a call in.
Here we go, okay.
There's been a call in.
There's been a call in, okay.
Okay, so this is going to be for you, Vuz. Evan. What is the weirdest food you have ever eaten?
Okay, I've had this thing called pig's lips in Spain. It's basically the snout of the pig that they serve sort of deep fried with a bit of batter on it. Not that, I was there and I've seen it on the menu.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'd have to eat this just so that it's the weirdest thing that I've ever tried. So
Was
I
it
could,
tough?
Oh, look, I wouldn't ever eat it
No,
again
yeah,
for the
okay.
taste. So it's just one of those things. It's
Just
like,
because,
it probably forms part of sausages somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, gotcha. What invention do you think is the most useless ever?
Most useless invention. There's someone I know, it must be their phone because they're always on it when I see them, but they never answer when I won't name the person.
I think we need to call him out.
Yeah.
No?
So that's not me.
No.
You got a guilty conscience? No one said it.
I'm always on it, but I know that I answer.
Yeah. No, you do. So it's not you. It's
It's not me.
He's probably talking about me.
Is he?
No. He's
No.
Josh is on it 24/7. So you can tell when Josh has gone to bed and what time he's woken up because he pretty much he's on the phone the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like fire brigade and the radio. They're always waiting for that call.
Yeah.
So he's always on the internet. He's waiting for someone to post, and then he'll tag me in this and that, and then I'd get lost in it because I don't know how he even keeps up with that amount. Because today he said, Precision posted something up, and I didn't even know how to open a story to go. so I said to him, where
It's
is
the
it?
age gap.
You needed to have another engineer.
Maybe,
Another engineering
not
degree
this
to do
one.
that.
It's
You've got to
just-
give him a book on how to do it.
Yeah, how to do it. It's like, so he goes, you got to click on it. But who would have thought on clicking on I thought it'd come up as a story or some sort of post. So I just searched precision racing.
Yep.
And it came up and I said, well, I see nothing. There's just Aaron on there. He's talking about a Mustang and that's it.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you have to click on
On the
this
precision
button.
logo to see the story.
I didn't know it worked like that. I didn't know what a story was.
How long have you had Instagram?
No, this was on Facebook.
Oh,
This
is it?
was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can't relate.
You can't really.
I don't
Okay.
know Facebook.
Oh, no, I had a template, but again, very incompetent user. I won't say because a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, I sent you that. Did you see it?" Well,
No.
just send me a link and text messages so I can click on.
Can you,
so
can you email
opens.
it or post it to me?
Yeah, I could.
All right. Tell me something you think is true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
Come back to me on that one because that's a bit of a tricky one. We'll go past that one and we'll come back to it.
It is a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah.
What's been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
The most memorable. Well, okay, the most is hard to answer, but there's been a couple of memorable moments. One was earlier in the day when we were working with Steve SDR and he's building this drag car. And it was just two of us with very modest budgets as far as rotary shops and builds go. And he managed to go 727 with that car. This is 2000. So it's like, I think Puerto Ricans might have just cracked into the sixes or we're about to. So it was that kind of pace. And I couldn't believe that.
So close. Yeah.
We've pulled it off. I think at the time there was one car quicker in Australia. It was Anthony Rodriguez. He's had like a nice pro stock car. He still ran 720s, but his was a few fractions quicker again. And that was sort of one of
the highlights.
One of the highlights for me was because it was early on as well. I'm very young then, and someone's given me a go at setting up and tuning this drag car, and then here we are, we're going, and then it's gone that quick. That was that was one of those.
I think
moments.
that was about like late 2000s.
Was it okay?
Yeah, late 2000, maybe 2010, something like that. It was a long time
ago. Was it okay?
Ago.
So it was.
Long time ago.
It feels like it was a long time ago. And then the other one was I'm sitting in the office and they said, "Oh, they rang you from UTS." I said, "Well, what do you mean they rang me from UTS? I paid all my fees and I graduated years ago. Like, what do they want from me now?" So so this is the person. He goes, "Oh, I'd ring back and I said, well, what's this about?" And they said, "Oh, look, we've heard about you." We said, "What do you mean you heard about me?" He said, "We want you to come and we want you to be a guest speaker and teach this lesson in high performance and engine tuning." I said, "Really? Me? Like there's so many better people out there."
Twice.
Huh?
I failed the maths.
Yeah, I failed them. I mean, it's not like I wasn't.
He failed maths, but he knows how much nitrous to put in my car, so I'm happy.
that was good, and they paid well. There was a gig that lasted, I think, 3 years. It was that was kind of cool because to get like called out. Like I'm thinking the worst when they say they called from. I'm finished with that, aren't I? Because it was revoked. Like one of those.
Yeah, that would have been humbling. That would have been good.
No, that was humbling. There was. I mean, there's been many, but they're the two that.
What about when the rich pump company guy rang you and said, "I need your services"?
I said, here we go again. Him and his Lamborghini. So it's like everything's dripping in money. So because you go out, it's like everything's either dripping in sex or it's dripping in money. So this we're going to go there. It's okay. He wants to play Lamborghinis. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go and play.
Very good. I think that's. And I've got a few more.
You're going pretty easy. I thought, so I don't even need to fire back, Josh. I'm very comfortable with these.
You did play bluff. Who was your hero?
What do you mean hero? Like that's
very vague.
Very vague.
Yep.
This pump guy that started this business and
this empire.
Empire, multiple Lamborghinis, and has this.
It's amazing.
He did have to be my hero. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You walked straight into that.
When are you taking me for dinner?
When you take him in the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Well, that'll go together. So when are we going to dinner?
Well, we did invite you on Sunday night.
You did.
We did.
Just out of. Yeah.
We had cold beverages, steaks. We were waiting.
It was good. In my defence.
No, you had a pretty good defence.
You had a good reason.
Well. Yeah.
I was actually quite upset that I missed out.
Okay.
Yeah. Next time. What is your favourite body part, Josh?
Josh, that's perfect. Yeah.
The rear end on my Supra.
Okay.
So you've named it Supra?
No. I'd have to say my wife's behind, otherwise I'd get in trouble.
Yeah, okay. So you're a butt man. If you were a fruit,
God, okay.
What fruit would you be? You've had how many days to think about it?
Yeah, man. Okay, I think there's a popular answer to this one, so we'll just go with that one.
Banana.
Yeah, let's go with it because we're all blokes here, aren't we? It's like I was downstairs, Josh. They even have gender neutral toilets here at Precision. That's how posh this place is. Yeah,
Really?
So you got to hang bananas
Is
on
that
doors,
for the?
so you know.
Is that for the Barra customers?
I just think if you're male,
Zamet's always in that one. I think.
is he?
Yeah, I think so.
So bananas should be hanging off some doors, just so some of us that are not okay with those ideas.
You should have said pineapple because you know the story about pineapples.
Okay.
I just think that if you're a male, that you probably shouldn't really want to have that action of eating a banana.
You reckon?
Well,
what makes you
sort
say
of
that? Let's go
contradiction.
back to your childhood. Where did that come from? Let's go.
Yeah, it started to feel weird when I was a teenager.
He's going to send you an invoice soon.
That's right. I'm not ever getting. Yeah, you're getting no jobs from Aaron anymore. This is probably the last. Or something.
Josh, what are you most looking forward to? Could be anything. Doesn't have to be car related. Or if that's sort of what you're most looking forward to, that's fine.
Probably doing well at roll racing, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the next.
Going out, having a bit of fun.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Evan, what is the one thing you wish you enjoyed more?
Okay, that's a tough one. Probably being at home.
Yep.
I don't seem to enjoy that much where you relax and just sit and do nothing. I think working for yourself all these years, you kind of forget how to slow down and how to just breathe and not do much. Every hour, everything is all about efficiency and how you can multitask and get so much done. And I think it's starting to hurt now at age 47.
That's been the most common answer. That's everybody has said the same thing. Yeah,
right.
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Well, okay, maybe it's just the
It's
times
our
we
industry
live
too,
in.
right?
I think our industry, because again, we don't work ever regular hours. I mean, when's there been a structure in 9 to 5? It's maybe for a few days and then it goes
you stay
out
till
the
2
door.
a.m. and it's out the door. Yeah. It's terrible. But you're trying to fix that now a little bit.
Okay, I think it's more peaceful just not thinking about it and just
do it.
Take it as it comes.
Just take it as it comes, because with some things, the more you think, the more you're trying to fix it can sort of work against you.
Sure.
You kind of just let it fix itself when it's ready.
Yep. Yeah. Josh, money or happiness?
Happiness, 100%.
And what was your last Google search? This will be interesting.
Ooh, okay.
See if he knows how to drive here. Was it
What
our
did I
address?
search?
We have to look.
I don't think
You have to show us.
How to select story on Instagram,
It's
on
okay.
Facebook.
Precision racing stuff.
I actually got one of the guys at the shop. I messaged you, didn't I? I said, how do I see it? And you said,
Yeah.
oh, well, no, Zach, he showed me at the workshop how to do that. I'll have to check the
You're
phone.
gonna have to.
How do we check it? So how
How do you check your
search
Google
history?
search?
It's,
Just bring it.
so I might need some pointers. So then, okay, I got Google up. So how do I know my search
Click
history?
on it and you'll be able to see one of the last things that you wrote.
Dry by wire, 82 millimeter, not Bosch.
Okay, so you wanted something other than Bosch in an 82 mil.
What a cheapskate.
Trying to save some money.
No, we're just
this
considering.
for
I
Josh,
think
or-
I remember. No, it's
Probably.
considering all options, because there's a lot of Bosch out there, and again, it seems to be reasonably priced. But then, what are the alternatives? And is it Bosch because they're really the best, or is it the most accessible? I mean, it's not a bad idea to research all options and
What'd you
go
find?
from there. I think it was short-lived, and his phone rang or something happened, and didn't get to
Also
the
relatable.
the end of it. So then,
Okay, Josh, what was your last impulse buy?
Nitrous.
No, that wasn't impulse.
That's
that
not
was
impulse.
That's
That's
consumer.
compulsory.
That's compulse.
He was.
What was the last thing you like? Stuff it. I'm just going to buy it.
Actually, I know what it was. Drive-by-wire pedal.
What'd you get?
Just a Bosch one.
Yeah, right. You didn't look at other options?
Nah,
See,
I didn't. Nah.
Just so people.
I was just
don't-
going to put it on his account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so people don't form a link. I didn't know he bought one. So it's like almost like telepathy, isn't it? I'm searching drive by wire. You're buying pedals. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it actually for his car, the throttle?
No, it was actually multiple uses. I just wanted to see what else was out there, because if you do a search now, it's funny how you don't really see anything other than Bosch.
Yeah.
So I just wanted a reason for that, because sometimes it's not because it's the best or most suitable. It's because that's what's most accessible or cheapest or whatever. You know, and if you don't search and you don't look into it, you're not going to know. Because really, of all the cars today, find one without a drive-by-wire. Yeah. So then we
Find
got
one that's
that
not Bosch.
Really?
Even OE, yeah.
Okay. No, I reckon. Anyway,
No,
it'll
I
be
think
an
there's
interesting.
Hitachi.
Yeah, Hitachi,
Okay, yes.
Denso.
Yeah.
There are a couple, but like even a lot of the higher end stuff is based on a Bosch or is a Bosch, but slightly different to meet OE. Whether it's the bolt pattern or the we noticed the flange, the exit flange of the throttle or the inlet flange, I should say, is the only slight difference from a factory Huracan throttle to a Bosch 82mm.
So when you say inlet flange, it's where the
where our
intake
plasma
pipe
clamps, so
go
where
on,
go over. It's a slightly different height, which meant we had to redesign a clamp or a throttle adapter to suit a plasma clamp.
Yeah.
Because the Bosch one didn't work, but it's a Bosch throttle.
Okay.
Yeah, with an OE
Just
Audi
makes
part number.
small changes
So
to suit an E. OE.
okay. And is there other Bosch gear or it's just the throttle bodies? Because I thought it'd be more like Magneti Marelli or some other. You know,
There's
no?
some Continental stuff.
No.
And there's a bunch of different brands actually throughout. Siemens, Continental.
Throughout the car, so
Throughout
it's
the
not
car,
just
yeah,
okay.
no,
Because
yeah.
again, it's the type of thing where you're building exotic cars, so you can be. The decision wouldn't probably be based on volume supply because some.
I think with this stuff, it's the same as Audi and like VAG. So like Audi R8, Volkswagen Golf, RS3, it's all the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so unlike a Ventador, Italian supercar, that's low volume. The V12, it's all different. Whereas the Huracan, same as Audi R8, and then a lot of things will cross over to RS3.
Okay. So my assumption about that is totally incorrect then. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely high volume.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. What motivates you the most?
Learning new things.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to work and there's something new and I'm going to learn something new, I'm there. Like I'll show up. So if there's a new product I haven't tried or there's some new idea that I just thought of, then
You're interested?
yeah, interested in there and it's.
You'd have been like a kid in a candy shop testing out the nitrous solenoid. And
He was.
Oh, look,
I could just picture
He was
it.
more
Yeah.
excited than what I was.
Until
I'm saying
it was
it's
laid
12
out.
o'clock. Let's go home. I've got to work tomorrow. Yeah, just another half an hour. And then it's 1. And then it's 1:30. And then I'm like, it's 2 o'clock. Okay, we'll pack up. We'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's great. I love
And
it.
on the way, can you bring another couple of bottles?
Couple of
Fill
bottles,
these.
Fill these up.
No, it's actually tough work because you got to maintain the pressure and someone's got to tear the scales every time so you need a few
100%.
hands.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Clark, he was fun. He came and he's the observer and he's taking notes and he took some of the pressure off. But again, it was good times. It's not like you regret being there till 2 o'clock that day. I mean, only maybe
The next
when
day.
the alarm clock goes off, why did I do this? But then you're back into it and you recover from lack of sleep
Yeah, pretty
pretty
quick.
quickly. It's just by
Yeah, I'd like to
lunchtime,
say
it's
too, a big shout out to all the boys that helped
Yeah.
me pit crew on the weekend. Zamet was one of them as well. There was Jeff, Zach, Troy.
No, they're all good
There was
blokes, and the other
quite
thing
a few
is,
boys that were on the
And-
tools all weekend trying to help us. And you know what it's like when you're at a racetrack and things aren't going right. You need all the help you can get.
100%,
so
yeah.
it's really good when we can all hang out, have a laugh, and
Yeah,
and try and get it done.
Yes,
it's
and
good.
it's that with other things in life when there's problems, some people just walk away or disappear.
Yeah.
Whereas problems, everyone's like, what can I do? What can I? It's very
Even Joe for packing my parachute, so I actually stopped properly.
Yeah.
My friend Joe, not this Joe. This
Yeah,
one
it
will
wasn't
probably
me.
cut the cable.
Nah, that's Mum you're talking to.
Oh,
Mum.
sorry.
Yeah. So are we going to get these stage 3 boost settings?
Oh,
out
look,
of the way?
you've gone pretty easy on us.
I don't know
Aaron.
what to say to
I thought,
make it hard.
I thought
I'm
you were
disappointed
gonna-
I didn't get the question. What was my first car?
What was your first
Yeah,
car?
okay.
You're not going to believe it.
What?
It was a Ford Falcon XF S-Pack,
Wow.
Monza red.
I was going to say
XF.
orange for some reason.
Before the Barra days. Can you believe it? And you know what? I was 15,
Yeah.
and I didn't even have my L's or anything, and it came up for sale off a friend, and I thought this thing's cool. Black windows, lowered, had 12 slotters on it, extractors, and I thought I'm going to get this thing. So I went, bought the CD player and everything before I even bought the car.
Wow.
And it was one of those Clarion ones that pop out.
Yeah.
And
Big
they're
setup.
like, my dad's saying to me, why did you buy a CD player before you bought the car? I'm excited. And it's like, yeah, but is it going to fit? I'll make it fit. It doesn't matter. We'll chop up enough room to fit it in.
And how old were you, Josh, back then?
I was 15 when I bought that car.
15. Okay, and you're working, or how are you saving
Yeah,
money
I was
at 15? What
working.
were you
So
doing?
my first job, I worked at Amber Tolls and Pavers.
Yep.
I was a yardie, and yeah, that was just sort of something that was just on the side that I was doing on the weekends.
Yep.
And then I decided, I just didn't want to go to school anymore.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, you can work 3 days a week here. So I worked 3 days. Then it went up to 5 days. And then I was doing 6 days.
Yep.
Then I just had a lot of different jobs in between from there.
Yep.
And then, now I'm doing concreting.
Yep.
So it's a bit physical, but it's a good job.
Yeah, good.
And, working for myself. And it's pretty flexible when you need those hours when you want to sleep in the next day because you need to work on your car all hours of the night before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good. So
Okay.
I don't know what to attack you with.
Well,
so that I
okay,
can
no,
get these
you don't.
questions.
Okay, we'll start gently. So, what customer behaviour or what type of things really rattle your cage? Because one of the hardest things in this game is
Yeah.
managing expectations and people. So,
Yeah.
what is your? Give us a.
I think unrealistic expectations. I guess
So define it. Give
Define
us
that.
examples so we can.
I guess anything that I think is unrealistic is unrealistic.
Okay.
Right. But
Not really helping, but
it doesn't help because it's all opinion based, right? So someone could build a car or have a car get built with us that expects it to break records on the first time it's out. They expect for the car to be built in 4 weeks.
And again, these things aren't impossible, are they? You just need a lot of luck to go. It's a bit like we buying a lottery ticket and winning it
Yep.
today. It's not that it's impossible, but
Yep.
it's
Yeah, it just doesn't happen all the time. It's not
Yeah.
like that, right? The game that we play is not that easy, and if it was, everybody would do it. It's just, I think it just becomes the job's already stressful, as you know. You know, like you said before, you could be, you've got 20 cars on the go, especially here, and you've got 1 or 2 or 3 headaches that you're trying to put time into to resolve an issue, and you got another guy that's hounding you like, when's it going to be done? When's it going to be done? We got this event. If it's not going to be ready for this event, can I pull the gearbox out from you and get someone else to do it because you haven't got time? So that way you can put the car together before the event so I can make it. And it's like that's the stressful part.
Yeah, it's the genuine thought that we are not doing absolutely everything we can to make it happen. It's as if they think that we're not on the same page.
so. Are you giving off the vibe that you're not trying? Is there a bit of like Fiji vibe going out to the customer?
I think
like these guys think
look, potentially,
of me.
potentially,
It's,
because maybe they're only thinking about their car
yeah.
when we also have 30 cars to look after.
no, they think
But
this,
that doesn't mean that we're not thinking about their car. It's just that we're waiting for the diff guy, or we're waiting for a part to come in that's a custom part that we've never used before, that it's not on the shelf,
I
unfortunately.
thought they might have thought the multi-million-dollar pump guy's just cruising around in his Lambo and he's
Yeah.
on the beach somewhere.
It happens.
I think
They think that.
yeah. Look, I just think that everyone wants to feel like they're important at all times, and that sometimes our lack of, I think we're actually I think we're very good communicators, but sometimes we might drop off because we've got so much going on, and their car might be here and we haven't updated them in 1 or 2 weeks, and we know we've got an event on in 4 weeks, but there's 10 cars to get ready for that, not just yours, and we know that you're one of them. Just because we're not updating you or because you think that it's going to be close, just leave it with us.
Because would you agree that sometimes, especially when there's multiple cars in an event, there isn't time to ring everyone and give updates?
Yeah.
Like you're already working
Max capacity.
Yeah, like you're beyond max capacity. It's 12, 14, 15 hour days. So then if everyone wants to get an
phone
update,
call. Yeah.
it's like now the 14 hour day became
17.
or 17. And then you also need to call them at a weird hour. They're going to think, oh, why is he calling me now?
Yeah.
Is there something majorly wrong?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, well, they see things go up on social media that we're spending time doing something, creating something, videos or whatever.
Yeah, and you're not-
and they
you're not
think
working on
that
their
that's all
car.
we're doing, or
Yeah.
that
And the other thing is, all of our videos are always weeks behind.
yeah.
So what you see today is not what happened yesterday. That was weeks ago.
We spent an hour 2 weeks ago making 15 videos that get released over the next 2 weeks. Yet they think that, oh, hold on, like I
had
messaged them
time
today.
to
Yeah,
why
but
would
it's
they
on
not-
there now. They must
didn't
have just
reply.
did this
Yeah,
today.
they've just done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's exactly what you said: managing expectations, managing personalities. I think that's a huge part of it, or understanding personalities.
So Joe, then how do you weed out or select customers? Because I feel it's absolutely necessary. Like it's in this game,
Yeah.
you have to really select the customer rather than the car and the job. Would you agree or
100%,
disagree?
no, definitely. So that's why we've made all of our packages the way we have. In terms of we've done all the R&D, we know what works, and this is the way we're doing it. If like, what are your goals? What are you chasing? This is what I'm chasing. So cool. Well, that matches this package. So this is what you want, and that's that. So there's less unknowns. It's
So there's no customization beyond that.
minimal. We try to stick away. Not that we
okay.
can't do it. It's just that you know exactly that's what brings headaches
It
and
does
uncertainties.
in the way that there's that uncertainty. So yes, it could go right and
Yeah.
be totally right, but then we could open up a can of worms or a problem that we never thought of
Yeah.
until you go to do it and go, oh, I never thought of that.
and
Like,
things
how
that
many
you can't
times-
think of until it happens.
Yeah, until it
like
happens,
There's certain
and it's-
platforms that
yeah.
we've delved into, which we're super happy with the outcome. Like we're wrapped that we got it done, within a certain time or whatever. And yeah, there might have been delays due to parts that weren't on the shelf because it's a custom setup or whatever the case is. But overall, the job is amazing. We're wrapped actually. Yet the customer's disappointed because it took a little bit longer
Okay,
than
then
we might have said in the beginning.
Okay.
And that this certain factory function isn't exactly like it was when it was factory, which is things that we couldn't have predicted or didn't know because it was the first one that we've done. If we're going to do it again, we'll do it differently. But we try not to open ourselves up to that by doing the packages ourselves in our own cars before they are released to anybody else. But sometimes it happens and whatever. We just deal with it as it comes.
Aaron, you're on the dyno. So what's your biggest challenge? You're on the dyno. What's one thing that you're hoping that it's going to go right for you when you're tuning?
I guess just it depends on the car, but I guess just depending on, let's just say it's been fully assembled by us, so transmission, engine, turbo system. I guess just that mechanically it's been put together right. So that's everything. Look at how much we've touched. The engine's been
So the
apart.
proving of the
Proving
package,
of that.
because there's so many things you've touched that even one little thing, and here's an interruption, and
Yep. So that's transmission, engine, the control systems of everything, and I'll know straight away when there's an issue.
okay.
And I guess I'd even like with the twin turbo packages that we send out, I tell people we only need a dyno because I'm testing your mechanics work to make sure it's been put together correctly and it's in a safe environment. I don't need it. You can send you a file and it's going to be pretty good on the street, like off the bat. But that's not a safe environment.
Okay.
It's not controlled, and it also doesn't read horsepower. So if you do have a failed cat or anything like that, I can't.
You can't tell.
Can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I guess it's just testing the mechanics work, or the cars. If the cars come in, and it hasn't been touched by us, it's testing whoever's worked on it or the factory setup. We get cars that come in R35s and they'll have the customer will complain of a certain thing. They book it in for a tune, thinking that the tune's going to fix
Tune's
it.
going to fix it. Yeah. That's unfortunately
and then
a lot of people.
That's right.
Think that. Yeah.
But they don't tell us the whole story. And then I'm like coming upstairs going, hey, there was an issue with his car. Did the guy tell you why he's bringing it in for a tune? Like I can do the tune. The tune's done essentially. But there's this issue. And I have a feeling this is why he brought it in. He wouldn't bring it in for a tune if he knew he had to spend money on this. So that happens.
But is that's often not deliberately played. It's
Not at
more
all.
he's coming here with hopes and dreams that I just need a tune and it is going to be
The problem's
okay.
gone.
Because again, most people don't put that on or try that. It's generally most people are good that it's they
So
sincerely feel or their mate said that you just need a tune and it's and again the tune and the dyno seems to be this elusive thing because they can go next to and touch and feel other parts of the car and the mechanics, but then a dyno and being there in the dyno room, it's sort of like this special center where all this magic gets done.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that
It's
magical,
not
is it?
magical at all.
Once you've been around it long enough, that it's
Yeah, no, definitely. I think so the major thing is that I just hope everything's right. That's all. makes my job nice and easy.
Okay.
Get on to the next car.
Joe, you said, what was the first system you tuned? You said you do tuning.
J3 chip, which was
So it's an OEM? That one is?
OEM factory EECV, which is old Ford.
Ford, okay.
It was a chip that went onto the ECU.
Don't you come to hate those things?
Yeah,
like
I don't do it anymore. Yeah, 100% not interested.
Because they're just, for minor things, yes, but God, they're...
Clunky, logging
yeah.
is horrible. You actually don't know what's going on. You've got no idea what's happening in reality.
In the background. It's
yeah.
just you do, okay.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite engine management if you were given, say you're building your own car?
Motec.
Okay, and why?
Why?
I convinced him.
Just
part
due,
of the manifest.
due to everything that we've learnt, the way it functions, the way it does things, the way the functions are work, and you can set them up to do what you need to do. Yes, there are certain limitations with different packages and whatnot, but typically there's a reason that it's not a function, probably because you don't need it for that process or what you're doing at the time. So using it how it's intended to be used, or we've been spoilt with the Motec, the Huracan package and the GDR package, which do a lot more than your base packages.
And
A lot
those
more.
packages are released by Motec?
Motec themselves. So Motec
okay.
Engineer essentially done the M1 build process on them, or it's a
Yes.
it's a full custom firmware that's suited for that model car only.
Yes.
So it does all the CAN bus in the background. It does all of that, as well as all the torque-based tuning and everything replicating factory, or as close to, if not better than factory in certain circumstances. If I was building a car, or when I build a car, it'll be Motec.
And Aaron, your favourite kind of racing? If you had to go racing, what type of racing would you?
Me personally?
Yeah,
Circuit.
circuit racing.
Yeah.
And what type of car would it be?
For me to do on the weekends?
Yeah, just something where you can de-stress and enjoy. What you do.
Circuit. Yeah, Porsche.
A Porsche,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got a GT3, Porsche GT3 as well.
Yep, in what colours?
Well, because I bought all the Lamborghinis
Okay. And
with
then,
that pump company.
okay, company. And then how many Porsches are there? How many different colours?
I had an orange one.
From?
I sold that. I've got a black one now.
Okay. And that car, no modifications. You just
No.
like it as
Tires,
it is.
alignment, and
Yes.
and even the tyres are factory tyre. Just run a Cup 2S. Yeah.
Yes.
Michelin Sport Cup. And go out and love it.
And then compare that to why not the Lamborghini?
On
Let's
the
say
track?
it is on the track, yeah.
So the Lamborghini is really fun on the
Yes.
track. You'll actually take the timer out of it, so you're not timing yourself, and you'll have heaps more fun in the Lambo, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot more emotion in the Lambo.
Yeah.
The noise, just the way the car feels, a little bit harder in terms of a little bit more raw.
So you feel
Harder
more
to
in
drive.
it
Yeah.
rather than isolated.
Oh, it's
or
like
the-
it's like you're racing a race car.
Okay.
It's like a bucking bull.
So
like
then-
it actually is. Has enough power to you have to ease on the throttle.
Okay.
You have to.
So I haven't understood then why you chose the Porsche over that, because what you're describing sounds like yeah, perfect. That.
because
He's
lap
also
times.
competitive.
So
and
lap
likes-
times.
Yeah.
So when you say lap times, how big a difference are we talking? Say Eastern Creek Raceway. Now, what would you lap in one versus the other? GP circuit.
Well, to be honest, I haven't given the Huracan enough time to get a good lap.
I probably spent more time in the Huracan.
Yeah. So Joe spent a whole day on the STO, which is a purpose-built circuit race car, with same tyre, Cup 2s. And what was your PB?
In the STO?
Yeah.
144.
144.
And then compare
And
that
me
to the
on the
Porsche.
same day in
Yeah.
the Porsche was a 142.
Okay.
So 2
And
seconds.
he drove the car for one session.
The Porsche, yeah, I had one session in the Porsche.
And that was just one session. So
Yeah.
you
So
didn't have the
15.
same
I'd driven the
familiarity.
previous GT3.
Yes.
So a little bit of
RS.
whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, so he driven the orange CRS it had, and so he knew how a Porsche felt. But this was a new car this track day.
Okay.
He jumped in the STO for most of the day, and then I think he had like maybe half an hour in the Porsche, and was already 1 or 2 seconds quicker.
Yeah.
What does the Porsche weigh?
I don't even know.
Okay.
Probably
'Cause-
15 something.
All right. So it's lighter than the Lamborghini.
No,
by
it'd be
quite
similar. It'd be similar.
No, but
The
how much
STO
is
is
a
lighter than the
oh,
rest.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't.
The STO is
okay.
very light actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the Porsche, is there a lot of electronics technology that help you? And is that where it's quicker? Because if you look at raw numbers, what you're saying doesn't really
Add up.
add up. And I'm interested in
So
why it
on a
ends up-
straight,
yeah.
the Huracan's going to belt the Porsche.
Yes.
But the Porsche, I think it comes down to suspension and geometry.
Yes.
That's you can turn into a corner and the thing just you can feel the suspension working underneath you.
Yeah, but you got the engine in the rear.
It almost
You know,
feels
it's
easy
like,
in the Porsche.
It's actually behind the axle in the Porsche. It's actually I
yeah,
thought it'd be
like
worse.
It's how does that?
But
like
you jump
got-
in the
yeah.
STO and it feels like you're on a billy cart with no suspension. Does it not? Does it not feel like that?
It feels raw.
It feels stiff.
okay.
Is it
Raw
does it
and a
feel
billy
stiff?
cart. So far, yeah.
Stiffer, yeah,
Go
definitely.
kart then. It's stiff fur. It has no suspension. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Whereas the Porsche, it feels like you're in a boat in comparison. But
so
it handles.
But it handles. So you're
Yep.
taking, but then you can't call that a boat if it handles.
No, I'm not talking about like a Commodore boat. I'm talking about like a speedboat.
Speedboat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar, so
Yeah.
I can't.
He's got a yacht, not a speedboat.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, talk about
What
money.
pump company
Yeah.
did you buy?
No, I only got shares in a small one.
Kickback.
I don't own
Yeah,
a few. Like
Yeah,
so-
He couldn't afford the motor, that's why he got a yacht.
yeah, gotcha. So I
Probably wrap
think
it up.
I think the Porsche is the way to go.
Yeah.
I love that, and it's also maintenance free. It's pretty cheap running
Okay.
costs. I know it's Porsche, but
yes. Well,
It's-
because that's very surprising to me.
Yeah.
I would not have expected that answer.
Porsche should be
yeah.
I believe the cheapest maintaining car on the circuit ever.
Right.
They definitely are. My wife's stepfather, he works at Porsche.
Yep.
And even maintenance-wise, general servicing,
Yep.
if you try and compare it to a
Any other
a
car.
Lamborghini or Ferrari,
Okay.
Yep.
it's
Even any
just-
other car though.
But
I mean, a
spoke to
Honda
guy
Civic's
who
probably
runs-
next best.
Yeah.
But a couple of guys that I spoke to years ago in Porsche Cup car.
Yep.
And he
That's
was-
different.
Oh, that's different.
That's different
Okay.
because a road car has 15 years warranty from the manufacturer date or from the purchase date, compliance date. So I can renew the warranty on this GT3. It's a 22 model.
Yes.
For 15 years.
Okay.
Full track warranty.
Track warranty.
Full track warranty.
If you said you had a tuning secret that you wouldn't want to give out, no, so you just had to give a hint. Maybe give us a hint of that, or give us the secret outright.
I don't have
Okay.
any secrets.
Well, okay, no, not secret in that sense. Secret is the wrong word. But let's say you've got an ace or a weapon that you wouldn't want to. It's the one
Is
that
it vehicle dependent? Like, is it?
It can
in
be
general?
anything you want to take. It's in general, because as tuners, like this is the thing, is that if the car came to me, I'd tune it a certain way.
Yeah.
You'd tune it a different way. Joe would tune it a different way. Now, sometimes the outcome from the perceived driving response, it might feel all the same to the end user. But then if I opened your file or your logs, I could look at it and then I go, oh, no, I don't agree with this. Right?
Yep.
So you could look in, because you got your ways with certain things. They're not negotiable. It's period. Like you're not even open to any kind of variation from it.
I think the biggest thing with the platform that I specialize in, being that everything's torque modeled,
Yes.
that there's no fudging. Right? There's no fudging of injector data. There's no fudging of VE tables.
Okay.
Because then your torque model's out and then the
Yep.
transmission doesn't play ball.
Okay.
Right? So that's one big major thing. Does
So
that
I
get
think
done?
that's
I don't-
global. That should
That's
be
standard,
how
right?
you're tuning or using every tool, right? ECU is a tool.
Yes.
Whether it's factory ECU, aftermarket ECU, you should be using its functions the way they're meant to be used. Otherwise, there's going to be side effects.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
true.
exactly like you just
Cold
said.
start.
Okay. But what about then?
conversations.
Don't you feel that with those models, sometimes you get bogged in detail?
In terms of the factory features that are unrequired or
As
factory.
in the tune and the setup. There's a lot of detail in that. I mean, because it's different when you're doing, like you said, packages and it's the same car, one after the other. But let's say you've got a car in from scratch.
Yep.
Okay. And you're going to set this torque model up. All I'll say first up is good luck with that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you'll be there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's different it being done for you by someone and then you're just manipulating. So in my eyes, that's more, it's like OEM like tuning without the OEM limitations. It's like woohoo. It's like
Yeah,
your
that's fair.
dream come true. Yep.
Yeah. And that's
As
where
a tuner. And
that's where the amount of time that we put into it starts to benefit.
okay.
And that's where we're like, okay, we'll keep those cards close to our chest.
Okay.
so
So then
we'll-
there are bits in there that you wouldn't
Yeah.
show or share with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's certain things. It depends on who the person is as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And I let them ask the question. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna.
Right.
I'm not gonna say.
Just
hey,
said, okay, if he came and asked you, hey, what's this part here? How does that
yeah.
part?
I'll answer
What's
the
the
question.
workings of that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's understanding how the function works or whatever it is. Like, so like you just said then, with even the Huracan platform, yes, it was a tried and proven firmware for a factory
car.
OE naturally aspirated car.
Yep.
It wasn't developed for a boosted car. We've still had to do all that R&D. And we've spent hundreds of hours, thousands of hours over the years. It's been 5 years of constant development. We're still developing today. Yes, it is a proven base, but there's still things you do differently or work out or whatever. And then, I think that's the same way you should approach any tuning or any tool, right? I remember years ago when I was first starting out tuning, I had somebody tell me, I think I was hiring his dyno for a car that I was doing, and then I stayed back and was helping him or whatever. Just sitting next to him, watching what he was doing. He was using this ECU and he's like, the numbers were all over the shop. VE table was like
just
weird
random numbers.
And he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. You just put the numbers in there, and if they work, that's all that matters. As long as the AFRs are good, then it's no problem. And I'm thinking that can't be right. That's not right. That can't be right.
So that's where you come to fudging, because he's fudging certain things to arrive at a nice
whether your injector data's wrong or your
something
I've had the same thing where I've had someone tell me that there's many ways to
skin a cat.
Yeah. And it's like, well, there's one
proper way. Yeah.
So it's understanding what you're doing and how you're using something is going to give you a better final result. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there might be different ways to get to that. But if you're using it the way it was intended to be used, you're going to get a good result. This is big with OE stuff, like with the Dodge stuff. When you start touching torque models in those, it's big.
It's horrific. It's terrible. Because the thing with OE stuff is you've got the limitations of a third party that's cracked that platform. So it's not you can't see everything or all of the workings. So you can only see part of it depending on how far they're into. The development, because again, you come to touch something, it affects something else in the background that you can not get. You can now not get to. So then you got to work out creative ways of fudging this in a way so the side effects are minimal. Surrounding the change that.
Which is the same with Mustangs and most modern ECUs. It's all very very similar in that way. But I think that's the secret. Use things how they're supposed to be used.
If you don't know,
in
find
my
out.
opinion,
How'd you go, guys? Did you like that?
Beautiful.
Excellent. Did you learn a lot about us?
Thanks for dinner too. Boys,
but all of these were
nice.
like street theories and things that we had.
We're still going.
Are we still going? I thought it was finished and I was just sitting.
Did you learn a lot about me and how I won lotto? And
No, there was never a mention of that. It was either an inheritance or you were born into it. So it's like a kid with a silver spoon that was given this pump business, millions. And this was just this was just on the side as a bit of play, while the other one actually brought the real money in, because there's a lot of shops like that. No, I shouldn't say a lot. That's not right. There are shops like that. Where the automotive is not the main income. It's
look, the pump company definitely did set us up or set me up to purchase the facilities. And the equipment, because automotive takes forever to do that. So I sort of grabbed money from a company that was doing well, whilst the industry allowed it.
Okay, because that changed later.
That changed, because everything's reactive, not proactive. So everyone was just sort of, budgets and whatnot. So instead of reactive, fixing things as part of maintenance before they failed, it was all reactive. So wait for it to fail and do the cheapest fix. And sometimes the cheapest fix gets them out of trouble for 9 months or too long, right? And also you lose money on reactive because it's on a Friday night at, let's say 12 a.m. And then you're out there for 3 hours. Then the guy can't work Saturday, so he's off. But you can only charge 3 hours at double time. It's useless. So, whereas quoted work, you know what your rate is. You know it's going to take this much time during the day, your normal hours. So, it just sort of went slowly downhill. It's the whole industry, though. What people are charging today, who I'd class as our opposition, is the same or less than what I was charging 5 years ago.
Right, okay. So it's just got diluted.
Absolutely terrible.
And what do you guys feel and think of the future with all these electric vehicles and things coming? Because I know there's some.
I think we've got plenty of time.
I think we got time as well. But where do you think it's headed? I know we got time. That's a given. But where do you reckon we're headed?
We might be involved in it.
maybe hybrid. It's
Because I think hybrid's not a bad
No, I think
way.
that's
Like
good.
imagine, I think it'd be very cool to have your internal combustion engine at the front, and then you somehow got
front drive with a
Can I still
Some
run nitrous on
hubs
that?
or something.
We need to be able to set up progressive
Yeah, yeah,
nitrous
yeah.
on my hybrid, please.
Progressive NOS blowing on the
Maybe you
electric
need
motor to cool it down, you know.
Maybe you need an electric motor on the front wheels for always.
Yeah, like that type of thing. I think there's some merit in that
There
because
is.
imagine you got, even if it was something marginal like 50 horsepower through the front wheels, that'd be
Massive.
a cool thing for a little bit, because a lot of people, for as long as I could remember, all of the customers love the Mad Max switch where they can, you know, press something and there's this extra, you know,
Yep.
power for all, which kind of relates a bit more to, say, electric cars, that, okay, you know, you've got it for a while and then it's out.
Yep.
It's,
I've spoken about this with a good friend of mine, Massimo, considering putting it in his Fiat. So like K24 in the back and
Yes.
and a small electric motor in the front to run the front drive.
Yes.
And you only really need sort of 10, 15% drive through the front to help substantially. So you're talking like 150 horsepower electric motor, which are actually fairly compact.
400 kilos of batteries.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
not
well,
quite.
okay,
With battery
I think
that's
I
where
technology,
was
actually
thinking
I saw that
you
car
do,
at
you
his
do the
house,
batteries
actually.
sort of
Yeah,
small,
pretty cool.
so you're not weighing it down, but it's there for just like a little burst.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you
even if it's just to
You're not
get you out of the hole or whatever it is, it's going to help. But I think that'll be a thing. I don't know. Yeah, we probably won't play too much with it.
See what happens in the future.
What do you think?
Because I think electric cars
Getting
are
sore
one
legs.
thing
That's
for,
what-
say, you know, general transport, or let's call it for transport appliances, electric's great. But I think for, and there's still guys around that play with steam engines,
Yeah.
enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So I think even if cars are phased out, we're still going to have enthusiasts just playing with, whether it be hot rods or certain, you know, types of motor vehicles because again, most of what we do, it's not for everyday use, is it? Majority of what we do is you know, it's all weekend or this
Hobby,
special
yeah.
occasion
Yep.
hobby type car. So for that, I can't see us being affected. It's a bit like through COVID. I thought, okay, COVID, all these things, people are going to stop spending money on hobbies and things because you were going to have to tighten the belts. But it didn't go that way, did it? It actually went the opposite.
Yeah.
So it was opposite of what I thought, because general automotive and servicing and taxis, etc., yes, that sort of thing
Declined.
died right down. But then the hobby stuff, because people are at home now, bored, they're planning this, they're on the internet, they're buying parts.
Yeah, they couldn't travel.
And, you know, it went quite, maybe, not quite, but just cautious for maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks. And then it just ramped up.
Skyrocketed. Yeah.
Crazy, did it not? It
Yeah,
was, it was
I think
pretty
it was
much
about a
there.
week for us. We're like,
Yeah. See
but
what's
but
gonna
we were
happen.
still trying to catch up on things that we had
Yeah,
already,
from
so we
the
weren't
previous-
concerned. And then
Okay.
it just got even busier.
Do you tune cars that people bring in off the street just for tuning? Because I know of workshops that will not accept to tune a car that they haven't built, especially that most of the bigger workshops. I guess one is they don't need it. Two, it's their protocol and their system in place.
Yeah. No, we do.
You-
It just
you do?
depends if it matches what we do.
Yeah.
So when
Has
you
to
say
match a package.
matches,
Well, we don't do Commodores.
okay. So
If it's
so
a
for the
Falcon,
cars,
if
you
it's
know,
a Falcon,
you
for
come-
example, it has to match
Yep.
the package that we do. And if not, we can update it to match the package.
Of those
Last
cars,
question.
okay, fine. Of the cars people bring in just for a tune, say that they've built and they've done their research on the internet, what percentage comes here and works?
Oh, no, look, I probably get maybe what Joe does, because Joe does a lot of the Falcon stuff.
Yes.
So traditionally, they're not put together right. Like there's issues, boost creep, the wastegate hasn't been done properly. There's many issues with the Falcons.
So what percentage of just general? Because
Oh, you'd
I just
say
want
80% are wrong.
Because again,
Yeah.
I just want to set this realistic expectation with people, is that they build this and then they come and then the car doesn't work and they're so disappointed.
Yeah,
Because every story, everything that gets shared and posted there is of this success story. It looks like they've just aced it first go,
Yeah.
but they don't outline how many times that
Yeah.
the cars.
yeah.
So
But with the cars that I get, like Evos, GDRs,
It's rare for it to make it to the dyno without.
Sylvias and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all pretty good. It might
they're
have a
all
few,
pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
might have a few.
This is
pump
because we're
issue.
super selective in
Okay.
booking
So
them in
you're being selective
over the
of
phone.
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we can't predict Trust me, we get some catfishes. We get them rock up and we're like, who booked that in? We're going to have to shut the shop. People see that here. And then it's just like, oh, wow, what have we done?
So how do you deal with that when that rocks up?
Deal with it as fast as possible.
Okay.
You don't turn it around. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's it. So there's a strict policy here that if it turns up like that, no, mate, it's not going on the dyno.
No, like we deal with it as fast as possible. Like we don't turn him around.
You don't turn him around.
No.
So how do you? So that's what I was asking.
You just
You do the job. You do the best you can, and then
okay. Yeah, as long as you let them know like the certain issues that you can see arising. Yeah.
So before it goes on the dyno,
yeah.
so you set the expectation. Look, I'm going to give this a go to the best I can, but
These are what I can
these
see
are
happening. Yeah. Usually we'll ask him questions and they can't answer it.
right.
Oh, I don't know what they've done here. I don't know and it's things you can't see. Have valve springs been done? No, I'm not sure. The previous owner said he did. It's like, okay, well, at this point, this will be an issue. So, yeah.
That's it. We'll wrap it up.
Okay, wrap it up.
Yeah.